Everyone. Hope you all are well. Thank you for joining me. See if I get a little more light in here. Sorry, it's a bit gloomy. See, the light's a little bit off. Hope you all are well. Sorry about that. Well, we'll try to brighten it up a little bit. This commentary is pertaining to Sean Finnegan death penalty trial out of Clinton, Tennessee. I'm going to read you a little bit of information. I'm going to play a little bit of audio. Then I'm going to show you a video that I brought to YouTube a few years ago of the crime scene, so you can get a general idea what it looks like. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie 129 Cash App. Thank you so much for your time. Let's see. Alrighty. Clinton, Tennessee. Day one of the death penalty trial of Sean Finnegan came to an end as court was adjourned shortly after 5. The case saw several witnesses take the stand to shed light on those involved in the gruesome murder of Jennifer Paxton in late 2019. The 36-year-old's body was not found until August 2020, when Finnegan's girlfriend at the time, Rebecca Dishman, left the home to be taken to a shelter outside of town. Paxton's body was said to be in a freezer in the closet of Finnegan's bedroom. Her body was later discovered underneath Finnegan's bed after he was asked about the body in the freezer. Finnegan said he is not guilty at the beginning of Tuesday's proceedings, while Rebecca Dishman entered a plea deal for lesser time as long as she cooperates with the prosecution team and testifies against Finnegan. Dishman took to the witness stand just after 1 p.m. Tuesday, which was today, and was questioned for close to 4 hours. The prosecution asked her about her life before meeting Finnegan and how they ended up meeting. According to her testimony, she moved in with Finnegan 2 weeks after meeting him, and that was on Facebook, and they started a relationship. It was good. Prosecution described the relationship between Finnegan and Dishman as a master-servant relationship. Finnegan was in charge, and Dishman did whatever he said. During Dishman's testimony, she detailed what Finnegan had done to Paxton after bringing her home. Dishman recalled Finnegan asking her if she wanted to kidnap Paxton while she was in the shower. Dishman was told to go upstairs at one point that day as Finnegan and Paxton began arguing. Okay, so Dishman was told to go upstairs at one point that day as Finnegan and Paxton began arguing. So what were they arguing about? I'm curious. Dishman said she came back downstairs and saw Finnegan with a baseball bat and Paxton defending herself with a fireplace screen. After striking Paxton with the bat, this is crazy, Finnegan told Dishman to clean up the blood on the floor. Wow, this is terrible. Finnegan had chained Paxton to his bed, left her there, and told Dishman to watch her while he went to work in North Knoxville. And he worked at the Pine House, for those of you who are possibly curious to where he worked. Okay. Finnegan had chained Paxton to the bed, left her there, and told Dishman to watch her while he went to work in North Knoxville. Dishman did cut some of the zip ties that were on Paxton's while Finnegan was away. So if she did cut the zip ties, why didn't she leave? You understand what I'm saying? 1 second, everybody. Always got interruptions. Okay. So we hear that she did cut some of the zip ties. So why not try to free her? Say, hey, get on out of here. He's not here. Let's get you out of here. Dishman told the court that Paxton at one point had asked to leave, to which she responded she couldn't let her go. During the testimony, Dishman said Paxton also asked Finnegan if she could leave. Finnegan allegedly told Paxton he was going to kill her. She wasn't going anywhere, and she was going to die. And you are going to hear that information during court. The court proceedings that Dishman was alone with the victim up until the evening. But then he was there too. So he stayed there with her all day and stayed there with the two women until he went to work in the evenings, allegedly. So that's what the defense is trying to portray. Oh, it's not my client that did this to her. What about her? She's already pled guilty. He was gone all evening. Well, the point is, you still were there during the day. You could have done something to the victim. Let's stay woke. And this is his house where the victim's body was found, in his room, in a freezer, upright, and then taken out to thaw out under his bed in trash bags. Let's always remember that. So now we have them wrangling about her wanting to go. She's asked Rebecca, hey, help me get out of here. Can't let you go. She's asking Sean, hey, I need to leave. He's telling her, oh, I'm going to kill you. Imagine that. The court was adjourned after 5 p.m. Tuesday evening. It will convene at 9 Wednesday morning. Let's go over some of the things that was said during the opening statement from the state and the defense. Thank you for joining me. Sorry about my lighting. It's just going in and out right now. I don't know what's going on, but it's having its moments. Probably because I'm talking about doom right now. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, keep focusing. Okay, so August 5th, 2020, police officer investigates an alleged neighbor complaint, which is about a body inside of the house at this address, 318 Fairview Road, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. As it was stated earlier, Sean tells Dishman, we're going to kidnap her. Hit her in the head with a bat. That is what she's alleging. He hit her with a bat, chained her to a bed, ropes, sexually assaulted her for about 4 days. They also brought a bucket up there, some type of fireball bucket, which I've never heard of this, for her to use the bathroom in, defecate inside of. Where do you find this bucket? This is crazy to me. Okay? She was strangled multiple times, allegedly back and forth, back and forth. Choke her, let her go. Choke her, let her go. This is what the state is saying he did to her, Sean Finnegan. Finally, she passes away. They continue to torture her. Throat ligature was found on her body, per information from the medical examiner. Marks all over her body, bruises, and also marks, bruises afterwards. Okay? Things were done to her afterwards, after death. They cleaned her body. Allegedly, they cleaned her with bleach, cleaned her body. Wrapped her body in bags, stored her for 8 months in an upright freezer. We learned that Miss Paxton was addicted to drugs. Stayed in homeless camps in North Knoxville off of Merchants Road. They do have a heavy area, heavy flow traffic of transients in that area. Merchants, for those of you who are familiar with Knoxville, Tennessee, that's a really bad area for transients at the moment. And they also said she hung out in a homeless camp in South Knoxville, and that's over Gay Street Bridge, I guess in that area somewhere over there in South Knoxville. She hung out over there in a homeless camp as well. It was told that she was addicted to drugs, once again, transient, moving about from one side of town to the other, different places. We also learned in this commentary that Sean worked at the Pint House. We just had a brutal double shooting there recently where the guy went on a run, found him down in Florida at a hotel. I didn't think he had a job. I had no idea he even worked. I had no idea he even had a car. We learned that. Commentary in court. She prostituted for drugs, money, and sex. She allegedly went to this home for drugs, sex, even exchange. Rebecca tells the court that she did date him and met him in the fall of 2019 because they met over Facebook. So I kind of like to know more about that Facebook intervention, how they came to be, who said what did he say to her? Just curious, because he is old enough to be her father. So I'm just curious, what did he say to her on Facebook for her to get interested to say, okay, I'm going to keep talking to this older guy and then move in with him. She meets him in the fall of 2019. They kept Jennifer hostage December 2019. Don't have an exact date of how long she was, the date of her death, but they're guesstimating, I guess, about 4 days they kept her hostage. So I'm wondering, how did he find her? Now, allegedly, she frequented that area where he worked, because he worked at the Pine House on Merchant. So perhaps he saw her walking or something, picked her up. One thing led to another. I'm curious about that. How did they actually meet, the victim and Mr. Sean? They're saying that this was a BDSM type of relationship. He was the master. She was the servant. Called him daddy. She was baby girl. She had no cell phone, no car, no job, and he supplied all those things for her, but possibly he was possessive over her. Kept her away from other people, friends, family, so on and so forth. But we did learn that she did talk to a neighbor, and that's how all this came to be, because whatever she told the neighbor about what they did to Miss Paxton, that person alerted the police. Now, both of the people were engaging in sexual acts with the victim, Miss Paxton. So I'm trying to understand how all that went about as well. You're also going to hear that he was abusive to Rebecca. She testified in court that he was abusive to her as well. The neighbor. Rebecca eventually got tired of being in this relationship, dominant relationship, abusive relationship. You'll hear horrible things that he did to her in court. She testified, hurting her, cutting her in her thighs, abusing her. She got her leg messed up. One event when she was trying to go to the restroom, they got in an altercation and he hurt her. So it wasn't just he hurt this victim, tortured the victim, raped the victim, killed the victim. He also was doing the same thing to Rebecca Dishman. So she goes on to tell the neighbor about what happened on their way to Campbell County, which is north. She's finally escaping, going to a shelter, and that's when the neighbor decides, oh no, this can't go on. I got to alert the authorities. So she calls her husband, whomever, fiance, and he also calls the police. And naturally, this did not sit very well with Mr. Finnegan. And now the cat's out the bag. People know what I've done with this lady, killing another lady, torturing another lady. Naturally, he denied having a body in his house, because that's what he told the police when the police came. I don't know what you're talking about. There's nobody here. Sean told that neighbor he should mind his own business. Imagine that. Because if you're telling a person, well, what you're saying is a lie, I don't have a dead body in my house, why would you then tell him to mind his own business? You understand what I'm saying? It wouldn't make any sense to say, mind your own business. If you didn't do anything, I'm just making all this up. So what difference does it make? Very interesting information. Once again, the state wants the jury to look at her as a human being, not just a person who was on drugs, prostituting herself for drugs, but as a human being, as I stated to you all before in the last live stream. The defense, of course, is portraying Miss Dishman as, I guess, the ringleader, the orchestrator of this crime, because she was there longer with the victim, which makes no sense. Because if he worked in the evenings, I don't know what time it is that he went into work. The point is he still was at home in the wee hours up until the next day with the girlfriend and the victim. So he had plenty of time to play these funny games with both women. Okay? And as it was also mentioned too on Court TV, has he done this to somebody else? And yes, the answer is yes. You all need to do your homework, Vinnie Politan, because he has. There was no arrest for a woman he allegedly kidnapped in Blount County. She was able to get away and made her way back to Knoxville, but nothing came of that allegation against Mr. Sean. She talked her way out of that kidnapping. So yes, they've done this before. Or he has, let's say. The defense wants you all to, this is so crazy to me. He says, what you're going to hear is very difficult, and you're going to have to separate the facts from the narrative, basically. They all were involved in this lifestyle. The victim, Rebecca, Sean. First thing I said to myself, this man is crazy, because he's trying to put all this on her. Like, oh, he was only here this short amount of time at the house, so it was all her. She knows more about her than he did. He goes on to say, oh yeah, she know about every tattoo she had, blah, blah, blah. So what? Okay, so she saw her naked. They said they engaged in sexual activity with the decedent. She said that they engaged in sex with her. So of course she would know what she looks like. She was in the room with her. She saw her naked. They sexually assaulted her. They tortured her. They wrapped her up in bags, put her in a freezer. I would say she would know where a tattoo or 2 or 3 were. I think she would know a lot about the lady's body. Why not? Of course she did. He's telling us that we all come in with different perspectives. He has a different perspective than the state. They have a different perspective. Everybody don't view things the same. Of course not. That's why you're a defense attorney and the state is the state. You're going to tell us something different than what the state's going to tell us about the crime. Why not? Because that's your job. He says, oh, the fact that he was older than her, that makes him guilty. Then he goes on to compare the situation to Leonardo DiCaprio. He says, well, you wouldn't say that he would be abusing or, I guess, using a young lady. We'd say she's using him for his money. Well, I don't think this is the same type of situation. A famous man and a regular woman that's younger. We're talking about torture, sexual assault, and murder. The defense goes on to tell us the mother was at the home living there as well, and that she was in hospice care. I find that interesting. So where was her worker that was supposed to be there taking care of her? I find that strange. He says his version is more consistent than hers. He supported the mother and her and other people who came there to crash. So what are we going to hear later on in the trial? That somebody else was coming and going out of the house that could have also killed Miss Paxton, could have tortured her, because I think that's where he's about to take this. So he's laying out this role. Well, I guess people are going to assume my client took advantage of her because he was older than her. No, I say they were both equally yoked. Maybe she didn't want to go along with this, but she did it anyway. And you can't go back. Can't take it back. That's just it. Oh, hey, Gigi, how you doing? Well, I'm going to say this, and I usually don't have empathy for people that get down with this type of behavior. But when I was watching her in court just a little while ago, one could possibly have just a little bit of empathy for her because she did seem like she was telling the truth. But where there's a problem is, why didn't she go get help for the victim and help herself and get the hell out of the situation? I assume she had left like earlier in the year 2020 and vacated the house. We learned she left the house, what, that August or whatever, and then the truth came out about the dead lady. And that's where I have a problem. She stayed there with him a long time with this dead person in a freezer in his bedroom closet. And then she ups and leaves, what, 8-9 months later. But hell, you get arrested just as soon as you tell the neighbor what happened. This is crazy. I don't know why. I just thought maybe she left earlier. But she didn't. We also learned, as I said, he had a car. Because we learned that. He drove to the store. Probably get cigarettes or something. So I didn't think he had a car. That's why I kept thinking, like, why is this body still in the house? Why don't they go dump this body? He must didn't have a car. He must didn't have a job. Now we learned he had a job. He had a car. So this is crazy to me. Why would he keep this body in the freezer? How long was he going to keep the body in the freezer? Because if Rebecca hadn't said anything, that body would have still been in the freezer. It says he worked evenings. They had done threesomes before. Wow. Wow. This story, Lord have mercy, it's crazy to me. Hello, got 40 in the room. Sorry about my lighting. My lighting is really, really bad. I don't know what's the problem because it keeps going in, out. But I'm just trying to picture all of it from front to back. How in the world, what did he say to her on Facebook? That's what I'm trying to understand. What in the world did he say to this girl on Facebook for her to say, okay, I want to get with him, hook up with him? She says, she went with him to have support. She had a bad life. Engaged 5 times. But only lived with, I think she said, 3 other guys. And then she was only 20-something years of age. So somebody's going to say to themselves, how in the world can you have been engaged to a guy, men, 5 times, and you're just 20-something years of age? But where are these men now? And how old were they? Older too? And Leslie, she's not mentally all there. So has she been diagnosed with something? Curious about that. What is her diagnosis? Don't know. And that's what the defense said in court this morning. They're trying to portray her as, a slow person, like she didn't know this and that, right from wrong. But he goes on to say, well, I went to college with people, and one was dyslexic, a young lady was dyslexic, and she was the top of the class. So we don't want to portray people who have some type of mental, defect as not to be, I guess, functional or intellectual, rather. That's true. There are some people who are, I'm sure, autistic or dyslexic. They are intellectual beings. So what you have to ask yourself when you listen to her testimony, are we talking about somebody that knew right from wrong? Are we talking about somebody who was easily coerced by this guy because she was desperate, needed a place to live, didn't have all her faculties? Because I can say that when I was listening to her tonight, I finally got to hear her speak, it was scary. And looking at him was scary because he's, staring off into space like he's a zombie. I mean, there's no eye movement or anything. With Mr. Sean in court. He was spooky as hell because he's not moving. I think he turned his head one time behind him. I don't know who he was talking to or looking at, but that was kind of weird too. I thought, who's he looking at? But she seemed genuine about, what they did to the victim, her life, not having a great life. But could you have empathy for her after hearing her testimony of her life and her involvement with Sean Finnegan? Gigi says she appears evil to me. Okay, Kay says she knows right from wrong. Okay. Let's hear a little bit of this commentary. Few people testified. Her aunt testified. Her mother is no longer alive. When I told you all that she had 7 children, because I got that information from somebody I know that lives out there, that was right. That was mentioned in court today, that she has 7 children. Her mother is no longer alive. So her mother was alive at the time, you know, when she first was murdered, but the mother has now passed on. So that information given to me by somebody that knew her mother is accurate, that the mother had told him that she had, you know, 7 grandchildren. So she is the mother of 7. Where are those children? I don't know. She lost them through the state. We learned that in court. The aunt said she believes she got worse on drugs, alcohol when she lost her children. But now we got to ask ourselves this: how did she lose her kids? Because I'm wondering if she was using drugs or not staying home, partying, just going places, you know, not coming back, not feeding the kids. What was the actual reason that she lost custody of her kids? I'm curious. Let's hear a little bit of court TV, and then I will take you to my video of the crime scene that I uploaded a few years ago. Thank you so much, everybody. She's where she belongs. Okay, that's fine. Just asking. And you know, I ask all the questions. Let's hear a little bit of this court TV. Well, I'm glad you're telling me that, honey.
A number of certifications in the home design industry. Become an interior decorator.
All right, everybody. Takes all kinds, does it not? Let's go to the beginning of everything. What was wrong with the judge? Let me start there. I put a picture up on my community page of the judge. He was snarling the whole time that the defense was giving his opening statement. He looked like he was upset or disgusted. I was like, what's going on with the judge? Please go to my community page and look at that photograph of the judge, because he looked like he was just angry about something. I can't even imagine what the hell the judge was talking about or what he was thinking about at the time. But he just had this snarl on his face. All right, here we go. Let's hear what the judge has, the state. Just a little bit
of the Roads Diversion, the beginning of the end for Sean Finnegan and his crimes against Jennifer Paxton. That was the interaction he had with an Oak Ridge police officer on August 5th, 2020. But how did we get here? You're going to hear the evidence today from the state's witnesses, including someone who's there, including investigators. But it all comes down to the roads of 3 people. Sean Finnegan was getting investigated that day, initially, as what was maybe a neighborhood complaint. But what had happened to get us to this point was this defendant kidnapped Jennifer Paxton.
GG.
Brought her to his house here in Oak Ridge from Knox County. Looked at Rebecca Dishman and said, "You want to kidnap her?" And hit her with a baseball bat across the head. He then chained her to his bed. The two of them engaged in raping her, kept her chained for days. She had to defecate in a Fireball whiskey bucket that they brought upstairs to the bedroom for her. And at some point he said he was going to kill her. And Sean Finnegan, at that point, strangled Jennifer Paxton to death multiple times. It took hours, perhaps, for Jennifer to actually pass, because you'll hear that Sean Finnegan would choke her and then let her go, and choke her and let her go. You'll see physical evidence in her throat, actually ligature marks from it cut open. After he finished, cleaned up the body, ordered a freezer, and put that freezer in his house, wrapped up her body, and
He ordered a freezer. Ordered a freezer from where? Because he, at the time, when listening to this, I didn't know he had a car. So I learned later he had a car from listening to testimony and everything. So in my mind, I'm saying, okay, you ordered a freezer, and what, they delivered it? Where did he order the freezer from? Oak Ridge, Knoxville, where? What's the name of the store? I'm just curious. Because all this has been going through my mind earlier in the day. All these little tidbits of information I'd never heard before. You ordered a freezer, but yet you had a car to where you could have rolled her up in a carpet or bag, took her out the back door, because each apartment, you know, has a back door. Because I've showed you the pictures of the apartments, how they're made, and you're gonna see my video here in a second after I let this audio play. After the audio plays, it doesn't add up, because the back of their porches, I think it's a carport too. You could pull a car up to take a body out. That's why I'm confused. Why did he keep her? Yeah. And I know this area. I'm familiar with this place because, you know, I've been all over all the counties around here, know a lot about the places. It's a one-way street. So when you come in, you got to park your car, which will be on the left-hand side of the road, okay? Kind of like you're overseas. You park in left side. So you park the car right in the back, front, pull a body out at night. Nobody would even have to know. In the dark, wrap it up in something. I'm confused.
put Jennifer Gill Paxton in a freezer and kept her there for 8 months until, again, I says I hear about body in the freezer. So you have Jennifer Gill Paxton. You've heard a little bit about her. She was addicted to drugs. She lived in homeless camps, transient. Sometimes she was on Chapman Highway homeless camp. Sometimes she was at one near Merchants Drive. Those are both in Knox County. Sean Finnegan worked at the Pine House. That is a bar pub that is on Merchants Drive.
I never knew that place was there where you worked until this
She
shooting a while back.
engaged in prostitution.
A little while ago.
And it was something that she would do to trade drugs or money for sex. She ended up coming home with Sean Finnegan. Ostensibly for that. Drugs, sex, good time. But she never left that house. You'll hear from Rebecca Dishman. She's the co-defendant in this case. You just heard me read her name on conspiracy charges, working in conjunction with him. And you'll hear she was there. She had a relationship. You'll hear her from the stand right here tell you that she and Sean Finnegan were dating. She loved him.
Still love
She was about 21 years old when they met in the fall of 2019. And by December of 2019, Jennifer Gill Paxton was being held hostage in the same apartment where Rebecca Dishman was living with her boyfriend, Sean Finnegan. So she's 21. She moves in with Sean after meeting him on Facebook in the fall. She has what is a BDSM relationship with Sean Finnegan. If you're not familiar with that term, it is bondage, dominance, submission, sadomasochism. It is a master-servant sort of relationship. And she's into that. You'll see that she was engaged in this as his submissive, and he was the dominant. He was her master. She called him master. Mr. Finnegan is the early 50s, 51, 52, like that. Actually, he had with an Oak Ridge police officer.
Sorry, jump back. So, whose idea to have this dominant relationship? Mr. Sean? Sean, you wanted this with her? You wanted to be the master, she be the servant, or was the other way around? Because let your lawyer tell it, she did more to the victim than you did, which nobody's going to believe that. And it's not to say that this woman is no more ill than he is, but nobody's just going to believe it's all her. She was doing all the cutting and the torturing. People are going to say she was there for the ride, whether she yanked the arm, took the sex, whatever. Because in the end, we don't know who did what, but we know the body tells the story from the medical examiner. And the lady didn't get those wounds on her own. She didn't get strangled on her own. She didn't get tortured on her own. She didn't get wrapped in the plastic bags on her own. And she didn't get stuffed in a freezer with broken bones on her own. So that speaks for itself. So that's the reason why she's where she is, incarcerated, took a plea for life, because she knew she did that. So whether she's mentally inept or not, ADHD, second grade education, whatever she got, don't matter, because you're going to hear, I think he has a sixth grade education. She still participated to some degree, and most states don't care. Now, some states will let you walk free. Some will give you a little bit of time. Every state is different. Just like a case I was watching last night in Georgia. 17-year-old, she's laughing and kiki-kiking the whole time interrogation. But when they got done with her, she laughed her way all the way to the wall, getting her damn picture taken. You're going down for first-degree murder, helping your sister-in-law beat this girl up. And I'm sure going to court, the judge is thinking, you've laughed through the entire interrogation. How you didn't feel nothing for this girl. I don't care if you did just pull her hair. You took a couple licks. You were there, you filmed it, you're going down. And that's just the way it is. I tell anybody that, don't do nothing in Georgia. Nothing. Because you're going to take that ride along with your friend, brother, sister, cousin, whoever you were with when the crime went down, you're going down with them. And then you're filming it. That's a fool. Only a fool sits there and film a crime, somebody getting beat up. And then you're in interrogation saying, oh yeah, I didn't do a lot to her. I just pulled her hair. Well, she's dead now. So, no different than this situation here. You were there having sex with her. You saw she was getting hurt, cut up, strangled. You didn't do anything. Your one little time of taking the zip ties off doesn't mean anything because she's now dead. You should have let her go. If she said, hey, will you let me go? He's not here. That was her opportunity. When he went to work in the evenings, after they didn't, first time they tortured her or whatever, and she said, please, please let me go. He ain't here. Please, please untie me, whatever. You should have untied her and took her out the door. Even if you didn't have a car, you should have just said, go, run. Keep running. Don't come back. Yes, her plea is life. He's facing the death penalty. Let me move up a little bit. Brief intermission. What you mean advice for sixth grade? Stop trolling. Give it a rest. Just give it a rest, please.
Made her name on conspiracy charges, working in conjunction with him. And you'll hear she was there. she had a relationship. You'll hear her from the stand right here tell you that she and Sean Finnegan were dating.
y'all.
She loved him.
She still loves
She
him.
was about 21 years old when they met in the fall of 2019. And by December of 2019, Jennifer Gail Braxton was being held hostage in the same apartment where Rebecca Dishman was living with her boyfriend, Sean Finnegan. So she's 21. She moves in with Sean after meeting him on Facebook in the fall. She has
Still loves him.
what is a BDSM relationship with Sean Finnegan. If you're not familiar with that term, it is bondage, dominance, submission, sadomasochism. It is a master-servant sort of relationship. And she's into that.
Let's jump a little bit.
Of 2020, they make arrangements to pack up her stuff, what little she has, and get out and take her to a shelter. They're going to go up in Campbell County, get away from here in Anderson County. One other person lives in this house with Sean and Rebecca, and that's
I remember that case.
Please proof to show that she was aware that Rebecca was leaving, and that
I've been in Knoxville for all those high-profile
Sean
cases.
comes home and realizes she is gone to Florence neighbor. Meanwhile, Mahogany Heck, Pico, she's Mahogany Heck at the time, Pico got married. She helps Miss Dishman. And they are driving up to Anderson, or driving up from Anderson County to Campbell County. And Miss Dishman says, I gotta tell you something. And at that point,
Let me stop right here, because I'm jumping a little bit because I got a lot to play. Feel free to check out Court TV so you can get abreast of everything, the 6-8 hours of commentary to watch, because it's a lot to watch. I haven't watched all of it, so I'm just giving you bits and pieces from articles and everything. Feel free to check it out on your own time. Right now, they're talking about the woman who she told what they did to Jennifer. This mahogany person. I don't know if this girl is black or white, because I don't know any white mahoganies. But let's just say this is a white girl. I'm wondering, who is the one that I talked to that lived next door a year or so later? Okay? Because you got to remember, the body was found in 2020. I went to the house, I think that was summer, fall of 21. So I want to know the girl who I spoke to who lived right next door on the end, on the apartment right close to the street, if that was the same girl or it was a newer neighbor. Don't know. That's why I said I got to watch the court so I could see the girl. I meant to watch before I went live, but I've been so distracted because I had some other stuff going on. So I needed to see what she looks like. Okay? Because it's been a while since I've seen that girl and talked to that girl about what she heard. Well, you know what? I just thought about something. That's got to be her. Because she said in the conversation, scatterbrain right now. She said, oh yeah, I heard the noise because I asked. I said, well, why didn't you knock on the wall? Why didn't you complain? Why didn't you call the landlord? Why didn't you go over there and knock on the door and say, hey, keep it down, woo, woo. So she basically said she wasn't that type of girl. So I did end up talking to this same person then. Get the hell out of here. I just asked her my own damn questions. Queen's not been herself lately, so just don't pay me no mind. But I was sitting here, I had to think about that for a minute, like, that's gotta be her, because you asked her, well, why didn't you do anything? And if it wasn't her, she would have said, oh, I don't know anything about it, I just moved. Shut the gate. Shut the gate. Wow, go Queen. So I need to watch all of the 6 hours. That's a lot of hours to watch a court. So I can get a bullseye view of her if she testifies. But I'm looking at her, because you all know how I am. Anybody that knows me, you know, if I can really tell you everything I want to tell you just from that area and what I've seen, heard, you know, I can't tell everything just because of people's privacy and stuff. But everybody was acting dense Okay? I'm talking to her, asking her why you didn't ever knock back on the wall or knock on her door to say, hey, can you keep it down over there? Woo, woo, woo. And she says nothing. So what I'm trying to figure out, but wait a minute, I got to remember something. This may not be the same girl because they also have another door next to them. Okay? So as I told you, the way the apartments are made, you got one on the end, that's to the street. Sean would have had somebody living right next door to him on the porch. Now that person could have lived right there. So see, I don't know. And then there's another apartment on the end. So it's a total of 4 apartments. So for all I know, Rebecca could have been friends with that girl I talked to. There could have been a female right next door to them on the porch. And it could have been another female living at the end apartment, you know, further in. So see, I don't know. So I can't go on record and say, the one that I talked to is the one that gave her the ride to the shelter. But she did say she heard noises. So why didn't you bang back on the damn wall to say, hey, keep it down in there, keep it down in there? And then the crazy people that live across the way and they can see and got a bullseye view of everybody's door, damn near. The one person in that house said, well, I heard somebody screaming, but I didn't get up and look. It was around Christmas time. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, if that was her in there screaming, because we don't even have an exact date of when they murdered her. They're saying between December 1st and December 31st. That's a long stretch not to know the date, you know? And then too, she's preserved in the freezer. So I'm wondering what did the medical examiner put her date as? I guess that's where they're getting this December 1st through the 31st. This is crazy to me. But this is what always happens with true crime, if you've noticed. People see everything else. They know when people come into your house from Florida, California, how long the car sat in the driveway or outside. But when somebody gets hurt, killed, murdered, kidnapped, don't nobody see that. This is just crazy. I'm sorry, but this is how I feel. Seems not one cares to know or check anymore. What do you mean? Neighbors not being in tune? Is that what you're saying? Well, that's the kind of world we live in. That's what I'm trying to say. It's that people will gossip about you and look out the window and say, oh, she came out with a yellow sundress on and da-da-da-da-da. But when it comes to something serious like this, don't nobody know nothing, don't nobody see nothing. I'm sure the neighbors heard way more than what the one told me, okay? That's how I feel about it. I'm sure, sorry about my lighting, I'm sure a whole lot was heard. Because what did I tell you about true crime? When people commit crimes, they tell one version to a friend or mother. They tell another version to the cops. They tell another version to whomever else. If you ever watch interrogation and you hear the detectives coming back and they'll say, well, that's not what you told Joe. That's not what you told your mother. That's not what you told your sister. Because that's what they do. They tell the police one version, they tell their friend another version. I watched that last night in that crime I was telling you about, where the girl was helping her sister beat the other girl up down in Georgia, and they both end up getting 20 years in prison. They got the same sentence. They think when they go on interrogation, they don't think that the police has talked to other people. But that's their job. The detectives, they go and talk to other people. Hey, did you hear this? Did you see this? And so they come in here and give the police some old, jacked up version, but they ain't thinking that, oh, the detectives, they done went and talked to somebody else. It's crazy. Look, as long as there are walls between us, just dial 911. Yeah. This girl has told different versions, said that they killed her in a couple of days and told it was a week. She was tortured. What body she probably don't remember. That's what I'm saying. All we got is really the medical examiner, whatever he or she says versus what Rebecca says. 3 or 4 days, 4 days. I'm not sure myself. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Dishman tells her about the kidnapping, about beating Miss Paxton in the back, about having her chained to the bed rail for days, tells her about the choking and killing, and tells her she's in the freezer. And that freezer is in the bedroom closet.
The closet.
It is in Sean Finnegan's closet. Mahogany says we have to call the police, and does that. And they report and they send them back here to Anderson County. So they are over back here, and Mahogany calls her fiance, now husband, Colt. And he calls the police. So we have, again, these roads converging. Mahogany and Rebecca are on their way to Anderson County, getting to Anderson County. Colt Pico calls 911. While he's calling 911, Sean Finnegan, all these roads converging now, is on his doorstep saying you should mind your own business, angry at him, cursing him, and you'll hear that 911 call from Mr. Pico, hear from him telling you about this incident, where he's telling the police, here's what my wife is telling.
You should mind your own business. Well, you haven't done anything. Right now, your lawyer is saying you're not guilty. You're pleading not guilty. So why are you telling this guy, mind your own business? Well, you ain't done nothing. There ain't nothing for him to be minding his business about. Don't matter, right? Because you're innocent. Did the mom live there too? How did she not hear anything? Yeah, the mother was there. The defense attorney said she was in hospice at the house. I don't know if I believe that, because show me a receipt that a caregiver was going in there and she was dying. So is the mother alive now? I don't know. I don't think the defense knows much. He was in court. I was listening to him talking his opening statement. He seemed like he don't know very much about the case himself. I thought, well, hell, you didn't prep yourself for the case. He was talking about Rebecca today. He just like, and I don't really know about this, and I don't know about this. And then some people in the comment sections were saying the aunt, she don't really know much about her either. Well, when people get out there on drugs and they stay out there for years, you don't know what they're doing. If you don't see them, you can't say what they're doing and how they're making their money if you don't see them. She's a transient, so you really can't say. You can only talk about what you know of her up until the point she got out there on drugs. After that, you really can't say nothing, because you're not around her. So she wasn't going to lie in court and say, yeah, I knew she was doing this and this and this. She basically just said, I don't know. Can't get mad at her for that. The girl was living on the street. There's no telling what she was doing. And when you live in that life, you could end up in this situation. This is a known fact. This is not make-believe. You live a life on the street. I don't care if you're on drugs or not on drugs. When you are on the street, homeless, your life is in danger every day, because there are a lot of ill, sick people who are homeless, okay? There are a lot of people riding around looking for people to pick up, to take to their house to do dirty things, such as what happened here. So it's a even swap, okay? It's an even swap. You out here on the street trying to find a place to sleep safe, your life is in danger. Get in the car just catching a ride, your life's in danger. You're prostituting, getting high with strangers, getting high with people you think you know, it's all the same. You don't know people. You don't know people. And I'd love to bring you this story out of Canada, Vancouver. I watched the other day a documentary about these women that went missing, and somebody was taking notes that, hey, there's a lot of women missing that's been walking the street and we ain't seen or heard from them. They ain't coming in and out of the jail. Somebody got concerned. And I know that sounds weird to some people, but there were people who were concerned, like, where are these ladies? And the ball got rolling, and eventually they caught their killer. He's going into the city, picking them up. I think I shared it on my community page. Pig Farm is what it's called. If you're interested in watching it. I think I watched it on Roku or Freebie, one of them. But it's called Pig Farm. The guy had a pig farm and come into some money, and he would go into the city and he'd pick up ladies of the night, bring them back, and they didn't check out, let's say. And you know the sick part of that story is that one of the ladies who was getting high and staying there, because he would let people come, transients, crash there, sleep there. They all were getting high on drugs, similar to this nonsense here. She walked into the barn and saw a woman hanging from the rafter. And he jumped out and grabbed her, put his arm around her, letting her know, you better not never tell nobody. And she said, oh, I promise I won't. I'm just here to get high. I'm just here to get drugs. That's it. I'll never say anything. And she held that secret for about 2 years until he was apprehended. So he's still killing people, bringing them back to that house where you're staying, getting high on drugs, when you could have went and told somebody, hey, I've been staying out here on this farm with this white guy. He's been bringing women home and he's been killing them. And they found remains of women at 24 and 26. Because he's only charged with several of them. And even the DA, they all were sick to say, oh, well, it's second degree, not first degree. No, it's first degree. You can't explain to somebody logically. You just keep killing people by mistake. You brought this one home, she's dead. You brought this one home, she's dead. You brought this one home, she's dead. How's everybody you keep bringing to your house end up dead? And then they're buried. Oh, and he's cut their hands and feet off. So that's not first degree murder? All these women are missing out of Vancouver, and they just so happen to end up at your house on your property cut up and dismembered, but it's second degree murder. Wow. It's crazy. I don't know if he's feeding them to the pigs. I know he cut them up, stored them on the property.
So the officers arrived. That's when we were in here. And said, what's this I'm hearing about it? And he says, ain't no body in the freezer. That's bullshit. So what happens next? From here, officers separate the two parties. Those patrol officers leave, and Rebecca is now arriving in Anderson County. And she's talking to people from the sheriff's office, and they realize this is something that happened in Oak Ridge. So she goes to Oak Ridge, and she gives a statement there, and they're like, everybody gets something too this year. This is quite a statement. So they put patrol on the house to look, make sure nobody's leaving, nobody's coming going. They bring the...
I won't stop there because I'm going to jump to what the defense says, because I got quite a bit to play. Feel free to watch all this on your own time. It's Court TV. Yeah. You have to be careful out here. I tell you, the more I watch these stories, listen to these stories, make you not want to talk to anybody. Seriously. Go anywhere with anybody. Home, nothing. Your home, no. Because you don't know people. Hold on.
Most of our lives, and it's not mine personally, generally, so it's really hard to understand things from that particular lifestyle. But this is a lifestyle that all of these folks were involved in to some degree. You know, restaurants, late nights, drugs, alcohol, sex, kinky sex, weird sex. It was part of what they were doing. And so I guess I'm asking you to kind of step back and think about it, even if you can't view it from the perspective of someone who does that, just realizing that they probably view the world a little bit differently than we do, and maybe they would make different decisions and face with different issues than maybe you would, or that I would, or anybody would. That's not involved in that type of situation, okay? And so that's all I'm asking you to do with regards to perspective, because we all come in with different perspectives. And so when we got prosecutors, they look at things through a prosecutor's lens, right? And defense attorneys look at things through defense attorney's lens.
Well, that's true. Everybody has their own perspective. I talk about that a lot on this network. What you see, I don't see. What I hear, you don't hear. But it's his job to get that man off. And if that means lying to say that man didn't do anything to Miss Paxton, he had no knowledge she was beat up, cut up, strangled up. He don't have no knowledge of wrapping her in plastic. He has no knowledge of putting her in a freezer. He has no knowledge of breaking bones to make her fit because she was a tall lady. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to believe that? Who's going to believe that? Nobody, because that's your house. That's his house. She's a visitor in your house in a small apartment, townhouse. How is it that you're in this place with your mother, her, a dog, whatever? You don't know anything that's going on here. You're there all day up until evening to go to your job, and you don't know anything about this woman in your bed, tied up, pooping in a bucket that you brought up there, says Rebecca. You all been doing funny games to her, having sex with her, cutting on her, cutting off her nose, cutting off her breast. All that's Rebecca's doing, as he says here in court. Well, I know he did something, but we've got to prove what he did. Well, nobody's going to care about a portion of what he did and didn't do, or a portion of what she did. The point is they both were there. They both were in the room with this victim. So nobody's going to care. You understand? Like the story I just told you about that I watched last night. 12 members of the jury didn't care that you just pulled the girl's hair. You kicked her a few times, but I stopped. No. Most states say you rode the ride, you go down on the ride, okay? You pulled up to the house, they went in, robbed it, came out, somebody died in there. You take the charge. And you may not have even known they were going to rob somebody. You could have been just giving some people a ride. And they said, we'll be right back. They come back. Come on, man, let's go. They get caught. And then your name is implicated as the driver. Now you got to prove you didn't know they went in there to, one, rob somebody, number two, unalive somebody. But this state says, we don't care. You drove the car. Even worse, you was in the room. A person died. A weapon was used. You take the charge. Even if it wasn't your intent to kill the victim. Okay? May not have been your intent. You went along with Pookie, Ray Ray, Bubba. We just gonna get the money, get the dope. We're gonna, whoop, come on out. But something pops off, somebody's dead. The state says you go down with your friends because you went in to do wrong. And had you not been there, that person would be alive. And that's the state of Tennessee. And I think a lot of other states are like that, Florida, Georgia. And I tell anybody that. There's some states you just don't want to get crunk in. And it's usually Florida, Texas, Kentucky, Georgia, Mississippi. Hell no. You better definitely know your friends. Because you got grown people who get in mischief too. Ring, 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 what you doing? Oh, nothing. I was just, painting my toenails. Well, I need you to come over here and help me. Help you do what? Just come over here. It's an emergency. And you get over there, there's a dead body there. Now somebody wants you to help them roll somebody up in some carpet or some bags. Hell, fuck, you gonna have to kill me right here on the spot. I'm not helping roll nobody up in nothing. Do you understand? Because we've heard those stories too, where people call people to come over. They've got an emergency. And then when you get there, there's a whole dead body there. And they want your help to roll the body up or put it in something. Hell no. We're not helping you roll up nothing. No. Oh, Google. You know how you go on Google and you search for things? Just type in the Vault, Excel. You'll see places I've been, travel, things like that, pictures I posted.
Probably not surprising to you that I see things a little bit differently than they do.
Well, what I meant to say is what he's saying is about perspective. Is it because of the life they were living that was expected for them to torture a woman, tie her up, beat her up, hurt her, okay? Because now he's making a generalization about people who get high in the kinky sex, whatever, that they're sadists, okay? Because somebody right now might say, well, I'm into that dominant, sado, whatever you call it, sado, woo, but I ain't for murdering nobody. Yeah, I want to be a servant. I want this person to be the master, but I ain't trying to kill nobody. Oh yeah, we get high every now and again, but I ain't trying to murder nobody. So basically that's what this defense attorney is saying. Okay, they was into drugs, kinky sex, this and that, hanging with different people, doing threesomes. You could do all those things. That don't mean you go out here and kill somebody. I know a lot of people who like to do threesomes. They've talked about they've done it. They've been with the same sex, all that, but they ain't killed nobody. I ain't heard that they tortured nobody. You see where I'm going? So for him to say this in court is disrespectful to people who might be getting high on a little meth, a little cocaine, a little crystal meth, whatever. But does that make you a killer? Because you smoke some meth or you smoke some heroin today? Because basically that's what he's saying. Oh, the life they were living. They were getting high. They were doing this. They were doing that. Okay, but I know a lot of people that get high. They pop pills. They do ecstasy. And they ain't killed nobody. Now, it's not saying that using drugs can't lead you to murder somebody, because we've heard that as a defense. Oh, yeah, they were getting high, and I was getting high, and yeah, it ended up going off, popping off, got mad. I was hearing things, seeing things. Weigh in on that, because I'm going to put that on a poll, too, because it looks like that's the defense he's trying to use. He didn't do much to her, prove what he did, and the lifestyle they were living, you may not agree with, but what? It could lead to this type of behavior? Killing people, torturing people? So you do a little meth, you're going to go down and start killing folks? You might. But would you torture them? You might. Depends on the individual, right? But I think some people who recreationally use drugs might say, well, I couldn't see myself torturing and killing a person just because I snort a little cocaine, or I smoke a little crack, or I do a little heroin. Just saying.
Or we wouldn't be here. Probably Mr. Finnegan sees things a little bit differently than they do. Or we wouldn't be here, probably.
Probably.
We're going to talk a lot about the definition. They want you to understand this master-servant relationship, dominant submissive relationship. And the age difference is a big deal, right? He's in his 50s and she's in her early 20s. And I think that they're trying to present her as mentally handicapped somehow, which she pled guilty to murder. But they're trying to present her as some kind of mentally handicapped person because she's the witness now. And the story comes from her. Nobody else was there. Sean and Rebecca Dishman. And Sean's mother, who he was taking care of, who was in hospice here. So, who can tell the story, right? She can't.
Hospice care.
So all of the facts that you just heard, all of the stuff that happened to, all the stuff that happened to Jennifer Paxton is straight from Rebecca Dishman's mouth. And so all I'm really asking you to do is to I'm asking you to do the same thing they're asking you to do, basically. And that's to just pay attention to the evidence. And you need to ask yourself, how does that apply to what happened, to the versions of what happened, okay? Because Rebecca Dishman also gave multiple versions of what happened.
Okay.
Mr. Finnegan gave a statement too, and I have to assume that you're probably going to hear it, that the state's going to play it, so you'll hear it.
So somebody in the chat said the same. She gave multiple versions. So what multiple versions did she give pertaining to what happened to Miss Paxton? I'd like to hear those versions. What did she say? How many times did she say this or that? Did she try to excuse what happened to the lady? How she got the injuries? Probably so. Probably so. Probably didn't want to tell her part in torturing Miss Paxton because she knew if I tell them the truth, that I was a willing participant in tying her up, cutting on her, strangling her, raping her, I'm going to go down with him. So she probably made slight her role in what she did and did not do to Miss Paxton. I'll bet that.
Hear what he says happened too. And from my perspective,
Is he going to
the
testify?
physical evidence and all of the evidence, the timing is more consistent with his version of events.
Oh, wow. Do you hear that? His version of
Mr.
events.
Finnegan works full time. He worked at a restaurant. He's a very simple, straightforward kind of dude. I guess he goes to work and he works long shifts. He doesn't get home until 3 or 4 in the morning. He supported himself, his mother, and Rebecca Dishman while she lived there, and a couple other people who he supported when they needed help and asked him for money or drugs or whatever. It's the lifestyle that they lived. He was giving people places to crash. So I'd like to present this in a different way.
You look bad,
We
I
have this
think.
age difference, and our natural reaction, it's my natural reaction, okay, to that when we see this age difference and they're poor, that the old man must be taking advantage of the young girl for sexual favors or for whatever. If he were Leonardo DiCaprio, we would say that the 21-year-old is taking advantage of him for his money.
Did you just hear that? No, he didn't just compare this situation to Leonardo DiCaprio. Baby, now you wrong for that. Just stop it. So basically he's trying to portray Rebecca as she was the ringleader. That possibly she was the one ordering him to do stuff to her, or she was doing stuff to her without Sean's knowledge. But in the end, Sean lived there. The woman was allegedly tied up in Sean's bedroom. So that's going to be kind of hard to just debunk. But as he's saying, you got to prove what he did and didn't do, what he knew and didn't know. Well, he knew that woman was there. He went and got her. He knew she liked to use drugs. He knew she was prostituting. He went and got her. Doesn't matter that he would stay gone from evening till wee hours. What was he doing when he got home? Probably wanting to get high. Because those are usually the hours that they up. Getting high, people on drugs in the wee hours. So he probably couldn't wait to get home. Probably stopped and got him a little something when he got off from work or doing on his little breaks. Probably had people bringing him stuff while he's at the job. Come on now. Queen ain't no dodo bird. So when he got home, he probably couldn't wait to get lit and probably stayed up for hours because that's what they do. They stay up all night into the wee hours, early morning, geeking, and then they go to bed, morning time, afternoon, then they sleep all damn day. Don't get up till dark 30. That's the life of an addict. So you're not gonna make me believe he worked so hard and then he come home, oh, I'm sleepy. You just said they were living a life. Had other people coming there crashing, probably other addicts. And I'm supposed to sit here and believe, oh, he was too tired to come home to torture this lady. But yet she's found under his bed in a plastic bag thrown out after he took her from the freezer because the police came by, on I think that Wednesday to inquire about a dead body. So he freaked out and then went and took her out the freezer. And wait till you hear the details about how he had to get out the freezer because she was stuck to the inside of the freezer froze. It ain't nice. The hell with what this defense attorney's talking about. He's full of shit. He's full of shit.
Right? I mean, the point is the perspective. And you have to look at who's in control the whole entire time.
Yeah.
For 9 months, that body's in that freezer. She's alone at that house most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Not locked. I mean, I'm talking about Rebecca Dishman, the one who tells the story of what happened there. The one who told the story that the state bases their entire case upon, her version of the events. Okay. She was the one who was there alone. When Jennifer Paxton, he was at work. He worked in the evenings. So for 9 months, the body in the freezer, or days, supposedly chains to a bed, and all of these type of things. I mean, you better make them prove that stuff, because that comes out of her mouth. All of those events. And you also need to think about who was into this, who would want these type of things, who would benefit the most from this type of thing, who would have some sort of motive to kill the prostitute that Mr. Finnegan brought home. You're going to hear that they had threesomes before. This wasn't the first time that someone had come home. You're going to see texts where she's saying, it's time I want to have sex with a girl. It's time I want to have sex with, it's time or whatever. This was stuff that they did, all right? So who had motive to kill? Mr. Finnegan goes to work and supports everybody and likes.
Who has motive to kill? Are you hearing this attorney, this defense attorney? So what are you trying to say, bald-headed man? That she became jealous of this one lady and wanted her dead, even though she likes having sex with other women and her man? So something about this lady that got her all into a titsy, and she said, oh, I want her dead. I'm going to kill her. I'm going to torture her. That makes no sense, because even if it went down like that, he still has knowledge that the lady's there. He has knowledge that she's tortured. If he's engaging in sex with her, why does he want to be with this woman and she beat up and she battered? But we learned that's what they were into, obviously, because she was there for days. You all were still interchangeably having sex with her beat up and cut up, because you're sick. And a lot of you are probably thinking, I don't want to touch nobody bleeding and beat up and battered, got an eye swole up. I don't want to kiss nobody with their eye swole, their lip bloody. Well, they might be into that, because I think that they were. But when you listen to her testify, you can see she seemed genuine about what she was repeating about what she saw and witnessed in that house. Okay? And I still feel like, yes, she's a part of it. No matter how solemn she seemed, testifying, if I just wanted to have a little bit of sympathy for her, I know at any point she could have left when he started abusing her, putting his hands on her, putting his hands on her while that woman was dead in that freezer. She stayed right up until she confessed about killing her to that neighbor. So she was there just about as long as that dead woman was in that freezer. This is some scary you-know-what. This is why you got to teach your children to have a mind of his or her own, or they will be a Sean Finnegan or Rebecca Dishman. Because there's a fool born every day. And people go along with stupid stuff for various reasons, to fit in, to make money, fast life, whatever. But there's a price to pay eventually, and that's what people need to understand. She obviously didn't see there's a price to pay for being with this man and having this group sex, and he's talking down to me and cutting me and putting his hands on me and lighting me with pilot lighters. Oh, you're going to hear all that. Sean was nasty. So this lawyer is talking out the side of his damn neck, because I believe the stuff she said in court about him burning her on the shoulder, peeing on her, putting her in a cage, and all of that. Oh, it gets real grimy. So I don't know who this lawyer think he fooling with this. Who's in charge? Who got something to gain by killing her? Okay, so I want her dead, but what are you doing peeing on me? I said that. Did you hear what I said? Oh, I want this woman dead. I'm jealous of her. But what that's got to do with you urinating on me? What that's got to do with you making me walk across the floor like a dog, putting collars and shit around my neck, chains around my neck? I'll wait. You cutting me in my inner thighs. Why? Oh, to make me pay. I've been a bad girl. This lawyer, baby, you is not doing no good job. Because people gonna look at her and they may say, yeah, she guilty, but he also was abusing her too. So if he would abuse a girlfriend, he would definitely abuse Miss Paxton. Checkmate.
Like sex. And smokes pot, no burnout. They went to 6th grade education.
6th grade education.
Who's in control?
That don't mean nothing.
To her neighbor, or she starts talking to her neighbor. Maybe she's getting ready to believe or something. I don't know. So she starts talking to a neighbor who's been hanging out with them. Stays over there, they're all friends, they hang out. And she's being abused all this time. That's what they want to say. She's being abused all this time. No reports, nobody. This friend's not going to try to get her out or help her or any of this kind of stuff. So finally, this one day, she lets it slip to a friend or starts talking to her about, well, he's just being abusive now and stuff. And maybe the friend's had enough to hear it or something because she's not doing anything. She's not seeing any evidence of it, or I don't know. We're probably going to hear from her. We can ask her.
They want to get involved.
But that day, she tells her, and then what happened? It's just now she's got to go with something, doesn't she? She left the house. She's got her stuff. She's got a friend. And from the very beginning, she knew who would get blamed. It's his house. He's a 51-year-old man who's there taking care of his mother. She's a 21-year-old girl who basically gets whatever she wants to using sex. And who do you think is going to get blamed? Who do you think that she thought was going to get blamed? Who do you think he thought was going to get blamed? So I think at the end of the proof, you're going to find him guilty of some things. I mean, if they prove it, then you should, right? But there are two different things. He gave a statement to the police. She gave several statements to the police. She's going to get some more statements in here. But he also just gave another statement that she did not give. And that's when I stood up for him just a minute ago and I said, not guilty. For some reason, the state's given her a plea. She had lawyers too, right? She had lawyers too. And she had good lawyers. I don't think that they would let, if she was mentally incapacitated, I don't believe they would let her plead guilty to the first-degree murder. If they didn't think she was mentally culpable, I don't believe they would have let her plead guilty to the first-degree murder.
Interesting.
And if she wasn't guilty, I don't believe she would have pled guilty to a first-degree murder.
Very interesting. What he's saying about her lawyers. She had good lawyers. Wow. Kudos for saying that, huh? But I don't think her lawyers would allow her to plead guilty if she was mentally undeveloped. What do you think about those statements? Maybe her lawyers felt like we ain't gonna be able to talk her out, talk people into believing she is mentally unfit because of the body and how the victim looked. People are gonna think she still knew better and right from wrong. Does this female have something wrong with her mentally? ADHD, autism, what? What are we going to hear? On the spectrum, what? She's got a low-grade education. What are we going to hear? Not making excuses for Rebecca. Could she have been grateful for that the abuse was on someone else than her? Well, could have been. You know, we have seen cases where people have open relationships and it starts out okay in the beginning. This is why I tell people why you shouldn't do them. Open relationships, threesomes. Because eventually somebody's going to want to do something without you, okay? Or one of the other people. So who's to say he brought her there and he was starting to like her? And then as this lawyer is trying to portray, she was getting more jealous, upset, and like, you know, hey, what's going on here? You're showing her more attention than me. Because if she was there a couple of days, he may have been more fond of her. Or it could be just it was he went and found him somebody to allegedly pay for sex. But then when they got her there, he had no intention of paying her. And then they started, you know, tying her up, beating her up. I don't know. But at some point they were arguing, allegedly, that's her version. They were downstairs arguing. That's the first article that was written. He and her were down there arguing, and he picked up a bat and hit her. So what could they have been arguing about? Did she want to leave? Did she want some more money? Did she want some more drugs? What was it about? See, you're never going to know the truth. Because they already said she's told different versions. He ain't going to tell you the truth because he's saying he innocent. So I don't know what actually happened when the girl touched down on soil and walked in that house. If they jumped her as soon as she got in there, if they fed her food, gave her a bath, let her, you know what I'm saying? Or, hey, go up to the room, change your clothes, take a shower. and then they pounced on her, tied her up. I don't know. Or it started out good. They all was mingling, watching TV, started having sexual relations, and then decided to play some funny games with her tied up. Come on, let's tie you up. And then next thing you know, they turned on her. See, you don't know if it was deliberate. The state is saying she was brought there deliberately for those purposes. Sex, torture, then death. Take your pick. But the one thing we do know, or I know of, from doing my research years ago, he's kidnapped a woman before. So that's where this is tricky. This lawyer trying to act like, oh, trying to put a spell on the jury that, oh, she's the ringleader. He's done this before. And you don't want that coming out in court, that he kidnapped a woman over in Blount County. And she had to cry and plead to get herself out that house. So that means he likes picking up women. He likes kidnapping. And he possibly was going to do the same thing to that lady. You understand what I'm saying? But she was able to talk her way out of there. And I think that's possibly what led him to do this. He got her in there, and now I got her. I got help. We ain't going to let her go. See, that's the one thing people do to lead to murder. They do it one time. They get caught. They say, if I get away with this or talk my way out, the next time I'm not leaving no witnesses. So this could possibly be why he went, saw her, put a bid in, brought her home. They played them funny games for a couple weeks, a couple days to a week, and then killed her because he knew if he let her out, she'd go tell and call the police. Now, the flip side of this, she could have went to the police and they could have done nothing, which is what happened to the other woman he did that he kidnapped. Nothing was done in that case. And just like the case about the documentary called Pig Farm, one of the girls ended up going out to the house. She ended up stabbing him. He's stabbing her. She goes to the police. They don't do nothing. They let him go because he made up a story. Oh, she tried to rob me and all that. And they feel like, oh, well, she's a prostitute. Who do we believe? This guy that lives out on a farm or this prostitute from Vancouver? I was thinking this can't be. It's okay, Mary. And that is what they were saying on Court TV yesterday. Could it be he's done this to others? He could have. That's why I said he did kidnap a woman over in Blount County, sits outside of Knoxville. He did it. He kidnapped her, but she was able to talk her way out. Who's to say he's been doing this to other women and maybe they were scared to, tell, or he could have killed them and we just don't know about it. But he got with this one, I ain't letting her go. And she ain't getting ready to run out and go tell nobody nothing. See what I'm saying? But what's baffling to me, he allegedly had a car. Why are you keeping her in your freezer? They ordered a freezer, they said in court. He didn't have a spare freezer just sitting around and said, hey, let's take all the food out and throw her in there. He ordered a freezer. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so where'd they get the freezer from? What's the company? Yeah, I want to know. Who's the company? Was it in Oak Ridge? Was it in Knoxville? Who brought the damn freezer? And where was she at when they brought the freezer? Ding! Because in order to order the freezer, that means she's already dead. Stay woke. So where were they hiding her until the company came and brought the damn freezer? The electronic company or whoever brought the freezer. Maytag or whoever. This is crazy.
In fact, during the soliloquy, pleading guilty, well, most of the time the judge asks, are you pleading guilty because you actually are guilty? I have to say yes. Okay?
Mary, he just says they ordered a freezer.
They were both charged
I'll
with
just
the same
assume
stuff.
after.
She was also facing the death penalty. So who's in control? She goes out, she reports that he's got a body. She tells totally different stuff. That she was being tortured for like a month, chained in bed, and all these different things. That he's ejaculating on the body, and he's opening up the freezer, and he's doing all these things. That's all from her. There's literally zero evidence that proves any of that stuff.
Oh, wow.
That's from her. So when the state says you're going to hear, they're right. You're going to hear. You're going to hear it from Rebecca Dishman, and that's it.
Well, let's go there, Mr. Defense Attorney. If you all watch this trial, she tells what he was doing to her besides what he was doing to the victim. So people are going to say, well, the victim has wounds on her to show what was done to her, even frozen. Because you got to remember, when you freeze something, you're preserving it. You're preserving it. So once they thaw the body out, they're going to see anything done to the head, foot, neck, breast, whatever. So you still got to explain, sir, why this dead person thawed out has all these wounds on her body, and then they were post-mortem, okay? So that means after they've murdered her, he's still poking, prodding her, him and her or whomever, cutting on a dead person. So why are you still doing stuff to a dead person? Because you're sick. So if she tells us in court, as she did, that he's ejaculating on her and peeing on her and doing stuff to her, why would I think he didn't do it to the dead person? He didn't do it to her alive and after death. What's the difference? There are people who get off on the torture while breathing, then the person is dead, and then they go do stuff to him while dead. We've heard this a lot in true crime. I don't think she's making that up. You know why I don't think she's making it up? Because he kept the body for 8 damn months. How about that? How about that? How about that, Mr. Attorney? Your client kept her in his house, in his bedroom, in a freezer for 8 months. So you're going to tell me I shouldn't believe that he went in there peeping at her every blue moon and did stuff to her frozen, or did stuff to her before he froze her? The hell? I trust nothing he didn't do. Mary says, oh, Lord, that's why he kept her then instead of getting rid of her after the fact. Exactly. It ain't enough I done tortured you, raped you, then killed you, and then poked holes and this and thing, and doing stuff to you. Yeah, I want some more playtime with you. Why do you think you heard stories about Theodore Bundy, Ted Bundy, going back to the crime scene where he disposed of the bodies of the girls and was having sex with a corpse? Because they also get down like that too. It ain't just strangle you, kill you, torture you before, torture you afterwards, have sex with you afterwards. I still want to go back and do other stuff. And it's hard for you to believe and understand that. So I say this to the defense attorney. You wanted to believe she making all this up. That she's got after death wounds on her. Well, that's why the medical examiner went to medical school. So he or she could say, hey, these wounds are after death. Not before, not during, after. So they kept her a couple of days, a week, a month. Who cares? They still don't explain the wounds after death. The dead lady didn't do it to herself. You know, this lawyer's full of shit. Sorry.
That's it.
He's full of shit.
Something horrible happened. Something horrible. There's a reason why there are cameras in the courtroom.
And look at the judge. The judge looks like
this is the kind of thing that people podcast.
he's rubbing his lips. Oh my God.
This kind of thing people write books about, right? But this is fantastic. It's sensational.
It is sensational.
Body in the freezer. I mean, it's got all the hallmarks of a movie, doesn't it? And so,
We'll see.
when you're trying to paint a picture of someone who would do this sort of thing, we've seen so many movies. I mean, I've seen so many movies. I've seen so many television shows. And what's the profile of someone who would do something?
Look at him. He's over here shaking his legs with his fat belly, looking around over there.
It's real easy to point
Prosecution table.
But you have to consider where the evidence comes in. We talked about garbage in.
Well, basically, seems like to me he's trying to put it all off on Rebecca. That's what it seems like to me. That it's all her. It's her idea. She's the ringleader. He's just some lonely old guy trying to please some young 21-year-old chick by having threesomes and torturing a woman. Get out of here. If they introduced that he kidnapped a woman before, if the judge will allow that testimony in, people will see that there's a pattern. He decided this one time, I'm going to get somebody and I'm going to keep her and I'm going to play funny games with her. That one got away. I ain't letting this one get away. Let's go to what was said earlier. Hold on, everybody. Earlier today. Thank you for joining me. Was Rebecca living with him when he attempted the one in Blount County? I don't think so. I think he was out there living on his own or with somebody. Excuse me, everybody. Let's see if this is the one I want to play. Can't see the video. No. I'm not going to play just because I've had so many issues with YouTube playing stuff. I'm just going to take you to the beginning, and then I'm going to show you my video because they can't mess with mine. And I can show you my own video that I did years ago at the crime scene. We're going to hear a little bit from the beginning today in court. Then I'll take you to the crime scene.
I did not agree with Jennifer using drugs.
Okay, and what else was she doing to fuel or to pay for her drugs?
This is her aunt speaking.
I don't know for sure how she.
Okay, but you would be at times relieved to know things about Jennifer with regard to her drug habit that you've told us from the state, right? When was it that you'd be relieved to explain that to the jury?
I don't understand. Can you repeat that?
You told us with regard to Jennifer's freedom. Was she always out in public?
Yes.
Okay. And where was she living when she was out in public?
On the streets.
Okay. And where in particular would do you know what areas of town she would live in?
From Merchants Road, North Knoxville to South Knoxville.
Okay. And were those generally two types of areas she would stay at?
Yes.
Do you know if she got in trouble with the police from time to time?
Yes.
Okay. And how would that make you feel when that happened?
I'd be okay if she was in jail.
To explain that to the jury, why?
We knew that she was safe and off the streets if she was in jail.
And is that the stance that your family took?
Yes.
Who do you live with right now? Who do you live with right now?
My son, my grandchildren,
That's none of your business who she lives with.
my mom, and my husband.
And how old is your mother?
77.
And she goes by Mill?
Yeah.
Is that what Jennifer called her?
No.
Okay. What did Jennifer call her?
Mom.
Okay. Because she raised Jennifer.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Jennifer did not. Did Jennifer know her father?
Yes.
She knew who he was?
Yes.
Did she have a relationship with him?
No.
Matter of fact, he's in prison.
Yes.
And with regard to Jennifer's habits, did she often appear at a certain particular time that you were aware of back in 2019? Did she have some particular custom or habit of appearance at your place?
Yes.
Explain that to the jury if you would.
Jennifer would always come to my house and get money from Mom
Okay.
on the 3rd of every month.
Why would that particular habit? What was happening that caused her to do that on the 3rd of every month?
Because that's when Mom would get her Social Security.
And why would your mom give Jennifer money if she was using it for drugs?
I don't know that my mom knew that she was doing any drugs.
Okay. But Jennifer would appear and get money, at least from your mother, on
See
that
how he's
regular
leading
basis.
her, saying, "Oh, she's getting money for drugs."
Yes.
And did there come a time when she stopped appearing, getting money
That
from
attorney
your
was
mother?
supposed to
Yes.
interject.
And when was the last time that you're aware of that she came and got money from your mother on the 3rd
December
of what year?
2019.
Okay.
Same motion
And
with Miss.
so, moving into COVID, of course, COVID in 2020, did you ever see Jennifer after the times when she would come and get money from your mother?
No.
Say what, Cage? This is her aunt speaking. What are you talking
You
about?
said that Jennifer did have criminal problems. Would she be arrested from time to time? You'd be relieved in a sense. Do you know what she was being arrested for? Types of offenses? What she was doing?
No.
Did she ever work a job that you're aware of?
Jennifer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Cleaned houses?
Yes.
Yeah, her mom's dead.
May I approach her? Ms. Payne, what I'm going to hand you first is I'm going to mark Exhibit 3 and hand you that. It's been marked for identification, Exhibit 3. Ask you, do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
Jennifer Paxton.
Is that contemporaneous or around the last times that you saw her
Yes.
in December of 2019?
Yes.
And that is, we've moved that in as Exhibit number 3, live photo Jennifer Paxton, and asked to publish later folder that.
Go ahead and pass that to the jury, pass it through the deputy, will take it up when they finish looking at it.
Okay. Let me see if I can find other people.
Love it. Hip Hop Atlanta is dropping its first cast album.
Sorry about that. Just trying to find where the lady was testifying. Girlfriend. Here we go.
Yes, I've waited for this moment for 4 years.
But still feeling a little nervous, a little adrenaline.
Yes.
Yeah, she lost her children.
Talked to you before. If you need me to repeat a question, if you need anyone to repeat a question.
The aunt said she got worse after she lost her children to the state of Tennessee.
Can you tell us when you were born?
April 30th, 1998.
So how old are you today?
I'm 26.
26.
Can you tell me about where you grew
Wow.
up?
I grew up in Maryville, Tennessee.
Oh my gosh, you grew up in
Who
Maryville?
did you
Wow.
live with growing up?
I grew up with my parents.
And are they still with us?
No, they passed away when I was 18.
Do you remember what year that was?
2016.
So is that also about the year you finished high school?
I was a senior. I was in the process of graduating.
So who did you live with when your parents passed?
I lived with my fiance at the time.
How long did you stay there?
A couple years.
Did you ever get married to him?
No.
So what happened that you no longer lived there after 2 years?
My aunt and uncle, Bobby Brown and Carol Brown, took me in.
And when was that?
I don't recall.
Okay. But do you recall how long you lived there with, you said Bobby Brown and Carol Brown?
maybe a year, not for sure.
So you stayed with them for about a year. Did you leave voluntarily?
They kind of just washed their hands of me. They got tired of me.
Do you know why that was?
Because I was with another fiance and had decided to move in with him and they weren't happy.
How many fiancés have you had?
I've been engaged 5 times, but I've lived with the 3 of them.
Okay. So when you left Bobby and Carol Brown, you said you went and moved with another fiance and they washed their hands of you.
Yes.
How long did you stay there?
I believe it was a year or so.
And how did that turn out? Did you marry that person?
No.
Did you stay living with them?
No, they moved.
Okay. So where did you go from there?
I ended up staying with my best friend, Tabitha Sparks, and she ended up kicking me out as well.
So she lost her parents in her teens, both parents, which I find very interesting. I don't hear how they died. Did they die in a car wreck or drugs, natural causes? What? That's kind of strange. But anyway, she's moving around from place to place. Relatives, whoever took her in, didn't like the fact that she was dating some guy or something or living with him or whatever was going on. So see, this was the start of her being codependent. You don't know if her life was great with the parents that she had. They passed away while she's a teen, so now she's going from place to place. This person take her in, but they don't like what she's doing or who she's dating, so now she's out of there. She goes stay with somebody else. 5 fiancés she said she's had. And you got to remember, when she met Sean, she was, 21? So that's crazy. Now you got to ask yourself, how old were these men that she was dating? Were they her age? 18, 22, 24, 25, 52, 35, what? Don't hear that either. I hate when they don't ask questions. Ask her questions. How old was the fiance? How old was fiance 1 through 5? That's what I would say. How old were they? How did they treat you? Although she's already got her sentence, but maybe she was mistreated by them, so this is all she knows. Ask her how she was treated by her parents. Because if she was mistreated by them, then that's what she's used to. This is why people go into abusive relationships, because it's what they're used to, it's what they're accustomed to. They may feel like they deserve better, I want better, but I keep attracting the same thing I came from, what I'm used to. Damn. Why don't you ask her those questions? That's strange to me. It's weird.
So where to from there?
Moved back in with Crystal Mays, which is the mother of Austin, my first fiance.
And did you stay living there for a while?
Yes, until they kicked me back out.
Okay.
She sounds
so what was the next place?
Rick and Jenny Fry.
Yeah, she's nervous because she's looking at him.
Could you say that again and speak up? I think the court reporter was having trouble hearing you.
Jenny Fry.
One more time.
Sorry. Rick and Jenny Fry.
Okay, thank you. And did you stay there for a significant amount of time?
Yes.
When did you leave that location?
I believe it was August, September of 2019.
And what happened that made you leave there?
I had met Sean on Facebook and decided to move in with him 2 weeks after meeting him. He convinced me.
What was that last part?
He convinced me to move in with him.
Okay. So you say you met him on
right, honey,
Facebook
good night.
And moved in with him about 2 weeks later. Am I hearing that correctly? Again, sorry, it is. Make sure you speak in the mic. Could you tell us about that interaction, about meeting him on Facebook and what happened in that 2 week period?
And he's staring down, looking
Our
crazy.
relationship was kind of fast, and within the 2 weeks, I decided to move in because the people that I was staying with, I felt like I was scared that they would end up kicking me out, and I was hoping that things would work out better.
She
So
hoped
how
things
did
would
you
work out
feel
better.
about trying to move in with Sean?
At the beginning, I felt, comfort and safe.
She felt comfort and
You
safe.
said that he had convinced you to move in. Could you tell us about that, please?
Like, the first text that I recall is he was telling me that he wanted me to move in with him, that he wanted me to live with him and be his girl.
And did you like that idea?
Yes.
So after about 2 weeks, how did you get to his place to move in?
I basically told Rick and Jenny that I was leaving and packed my stuff, and he came to get me, and I moved in with him.
So what were things like when you moved in?
So he went and got her from the last place.
The first couple weeks were okay, and I went to go take a shower, and that was our first argument. He pushed me, and I ended up cutting my leg pretty bad, and that led to my first punishment.
Okay. Now, when you met him on Facebook, and of course when he came, was it he who came and picked you up?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know how old he was?
No.
Did you ever have a conversation about how old he was?
He had told me that he was in his 40s at the time.
Okay. Did you know anything about his background or
So
what
he lied about his
did?
age.
Not really. I just knew that he worked at the bar,
Okay. Did you know what bar it was he worked at?
the plant house in Knoxville.
Okay. And when did he usually work?
Like mornings, I think, like anywhere from 5 to 5 the next day.
So when you say mornings, like he would come home in the morning? So 5 to 5 the next day would be like 5 p.m.
To 5
and then
a.m.
5 a.m. Okay.
Long hours.
Who else lived at that house with you?
His mother at the time.
Okay, Mary says she was praying as
Did
well.
you notice anything about her physical condition or shape?
He had told me that she was on hospice and her health was bad.
Okay. Is that something that, having seen her, sounded accurate to you?
She had her good and bad days.
So when he was at work, who was there at the house when he had those overnights?
Myself and Francis.
Okay. Could you sort of describe what the house, or this apartment, it was a quadplex, right? It kind of looks like a house, but there are multiple units. Is that right? Multiple. You have neighbors who have one unit. You have a unit,
Yes.
like an apartment. Can you describe just what the house looks like, the apartment you're in looks like?
There was 2 levels and a laundry room, and the apartments were separated by a driveway.
Okay. So what was in the downstairs level?
The kitchen, living room area, and upstairs was the bedroom area and bathroom area.
Okay, so did his mom have a bedroom there that was hers?
Yes.
And where did you stay?
I stayed with Sean in his bedroom.
In his bedroom. Okay, so there's 2 bedrooms.
Yes.
Bathroom also upstairs.
Just upstairs.
Okay. What was your relationship like with his mother?
I mean, we had our ups and downs. She had her good days and bad days. I didn't really have a good or bad relationship, somewhat neutral with her.
So during the day, you weren't hanging out with Miss Frances. Is that her name?
Yes.
Ooh, that's my great grandmother's name. Wow.
Did you
Francis. So here she says she didn't have a good or bad relationship with his mother. The mother was in hospice. So was there a caregiver coming in and out of the apartment to check on his mother? I'd like to know that, not hearing that. Did she ever go in there and just speak with her, hold a conversation, do things for her, cook her a meal, help her go to the bathroom, help her take a bath, help bathe her? What did she do with the mother? I'm wondering. Because I'm not hearing anything of somebody coming in to take care of her while all this torture is going on with Jennifer for a couple of days to a week. Well, where was the hospice workers? So I always tell people, they always throw stuff out, but nobody finishes it. I want people to finish a statement. Don't tell me somebody was on hospice and we also got somebody tortured in a bedroom. Well, where are the workers? Where, you understand what I'm saying? Where are the hospice workers? Were they coming in? Did they see or hear anything? Say
You
it.
ever talk to any neighbors?
Yes, Mahogany Piak.
Okay. And where did Mahogany live in relation to where you stayed there with Mr. Finnegan?
She lived across from us in the other apartment complex.
So if you go out your front door, they live in front of you, or if you go out your back door, they live behind you?
The front door.
So what were you doing at the time?
She
You
said they
you were
live in
working at
front.
the front house.
There's a house in front of there.
I stayed at home and I was a stay-at-home girlfriend.
Had you worked anywhere before you moved in with him?
Yes, but I lost my jobs.
She says the girl lived in another building. Hold on. So that's not the girl I think I talked to.
When you met him on Facebook, and of course when he came with,
Lost my jobs.
could you repeat that, please?
I lost my jobs.
Was that you lost your job?
Yes.
Where had you been working?
I worked for 2 years as a CNA at Kindred in Maryville. Five Guys, I was a
She was a
cashier.
CNA
And then at Huddle House, I was a waitress.
and a waitress.
You were let go from each of those jobs?
Yes, all of them.
So if I could draw your attention back to something you said a little while ago. You talked about the first time that you got in a fight with him, where
Yes.
I think you said he shoved you.
Yes.
Let me go back
Could
a
you give
minute.
us some more detail about?
The first couple weeks were okay. And, I went to go take a shower, and that was our first argument. He pushed me.
She doesn't talk very loud.
I ended up cutting him up pretty bad, and that led to my first punishment.
Okay.
So that was her punishment.
Now, when you met him on Facebook, and of course when he
First
came, was
punishment.
it he who came and picked you up?
Yes.
Okay.
Pushed her in the
Did
bathroom.
you know how old he was?
No.
Did you ever have a conversation about how old he was?
He had told me that he was in his 40s at the time.
Okay. Did you know anything about his background or what he did for a living?
Not really. I just knew that he worked at the bar,
Okay. Did you know what bar it was he worked at?
the Pint House in Knoxville.
Okay.
Moved into his
And when
house
did
and
he
didn't know
usually
him.
work?
Oh, Lord. Gotta be careful moving in with people, taking people in your house. Lord knows. Ugh. Don't know
Anywhere from
people.
5 to 5 the next day.
So when you say mornings, like he would come home in the morning, so 5 to 5 the next day would be like 5 p.m.
Trying to hear about the friend.
And then
She said the come out the front. In front of the house is a certain person's house.
Who else lived at that house with you?
That's
His
not true.
mother At the time.
She said another building.
Did you notice anything about her physical condition or shape?
He had told me that she was on hospice and her health was bad.
Okay. Is that something that, having seen her, sounded accurate to you?
She had her good and bad days.
So when he was at work, who was there at the house when he had those overnights?
Myself and Francis.
Okay. Could you sort of describe what the house or this apartment? It was a quadplex, right? It kind of looks like a house, but there are multiple units. Is that right? Like multiple. You have neighbors who have one unit. You have a unit,
Yes.
like an apartment. Can you describe just what the house looks like, the apartment you're in looks like?
There was 2 levels and a laundry room, and the apartments were separated by a driveway.
Okay. So what was in the downstairs level?
The kitchen, living room area, and upstairs was the bedroom area and bathroom area.
Okay, so did his mom have a bedroom there that was hers?
Yes,
And where did you stay?
I stayed with Sean in his bedroom.
In his bedroom. Okay, so there's 2 bedrooms.
Yes,
Bathroom also upstairs.
just upstairs.
Okay. What was your relationship like with his mother?
I mean, we had our ups and downs. She had her good days and bad days. I didn't really have a good or bad relationship, somewhat neutral with her.
So during the day, you weren't hanging out with Miss Francis. Is that her name?
Yes,
Did you ever talk to any neighbors?
yes, Mahogany Piak.
Okay. And where did Mahogany live in relation to where you stayed there with Mr. Finnegan?
She lived across from us in the other apartment complex.
Wow.
So if you go out your front door, they live in front of you, or if you go out your back door, they live behind you?
The front door.
I didn't know there was another building. I have to
So-
look again.
What were you doing at the time? You said he was working in the Pine House. What did you do?
I stayed at home and
Ooh, excuse
I
me.
was a stay-at-home girlfriend.
Had you worked anywhere before you moved in with him?
Yes, but I lost my job.
Had to get a pen. Sorry.
Could you repeat that, please?
I lost my job.
Is that you lost your job?
Yes.
Where had you been working?
I worked for 2 years as a CNA at Kindred in Maryville. Five Guys, I was a cashier, and then at Huddle House, I was a waitress.
And you were let go from each of those jobs?
Yes, all of them.
She's let go. Why? Somebody's laughing in the chat. Stay-at-home girlfriend.
So if I could draw your attention back to something you said a little while ago. You talked about the first time that you got in a fight with him.
Hey.
Or
Yes.
I think you said he shoved you.
Yes.
Could you give us some more detail about when that was, what happened?
I had asked to borrow his phone to be on Facebook, and one of my exes texted, and it led to him getting angry and shoving me in the shower.
Somebody said such a sad life. Indeed. Somebody said he chose the wrong Becky to do his rituals with. Let me see if I can get to the stuff he did to her.
Things you described as harsh or aggressive. Did those continue for your whole relationship?
Yes, and they continue to get worse.
If I could draw your attention back to the winter, around December of 2019, do you recall anyone else coming in to the home?
Yes, Jennifer.
Could you tell us about what happened when Jennifer came in?
She came in and I was putting the bed up and I was confused because I didn't know the woman, and Sean later came in and introduced us together. She made breakfast and asked to take a shower, and when she went to go take a shower, Sean asked me, "Do you want to kidnap her?" And
How did you react to that?
I knew that I had no say-so really in the matter, that he controlled the house, and anything I said, even if it was a no, that it wouldn't have mattered anyways.
Do you know how Miss?
So this is her first time meeting Jennifer. Jennifer is going to take a shower. So this must be day one. She goes in to take a shower and he's already talking to her about, hey, do you want to kidnap her? So she's saying it didn't matter because this was his house and what he said went. Are we talking about somebody who was manipulated? You know, I usually don't feel sorry for people that do this type of thing because I feel like at some point you have to know that this is wrong. that the first thought he put in your head, which is the conversation, hey, do you want to kidnap her? You had to have known this is not the right thing to do. No, I would prefer not. That's what she's supposed to say to him. But he's already been abusing her, doing things to her, allegedly. So I'll just go ahead and do whatever because I need a place to stay. Then she just go along with the program and have a place to stay. Because as you see, she's very quiet, like she talks very low. Is this an act? I don't know. I mean, she seems genuine enough to put the information she's spinning here. But was she easily coerced because of her lifestyle of the past couple of years, having to live with this one, being engaged with different guys? Was she looking for love? Because her parents were dead, gone. She didn't have any other, family, friends? What are we saying here?
Miss Paxton got to the house.
Ooh.
No, I'm assuming that he just,
Don't assume. Did she arrive the same time Sean arrived?
yes.
Okay.
He's staring around looking stupid.
And this was a time he had gone to work and he came home?
Yes.
Okay. So she's there, makes breakfast, takes a shower, and he's talking to you while she's in the shower. Is that right? Or was it before or after she got out of the shower that he made that statement about kidnapping her?
When she was in the shower.
So she's in the shower. So that means Rebecca didn't even know that he was going to pick up somebody and bring somebody to play funny games with. Although allegedly it's been said they did threesomes before. The defense attorney says that. Don't know if he's just getting that from Sean. So you got to prove all that. See, he said, she said. His attorney says, oh, they've had threesomes before. Okay, if they had threesomes before, then what are they doing killing this girl? Or are we going to find out there's some other missing women out here in Knoxville, Anderson County, what? So who do you believe, him or her? But then we also hear she gave different versions to the police about timeline. But I don't think she can remember well, probably because she probably does have something wrong with her. Because you see, she couldn't even remember the summer of 2019 where she last lived. How would you not remember where you last lived? You're not that old. She's just, 26? You don't remember the places you lived before you met him? That's strange to me. So maybe she don't have it all there. Maybe she don't. She's easily coerced. She's looking for somebody to stay with, looking for somebody to take care of her. You see, she said she lost every job she had. Maybe there is something really wrong with her. Not excusing what she did, but just saying. Because I've seen cases like this where other people went along and said, oh, he made me do it. He made me do it. The wife that kept the girl out in California, that had her out there in a tent, and he had already caught a child molestation charge or something, and he was on parole, and she knew all along he was out there sleeping with the little girl and all that kind of crazy stuff. Hell no, I didn't feel bad for that mother, that wife at all. I feel like she was down with sexually assaulting the girl and all that. But now, listen, in this case, I get to see her talking finally. How she looked here is different than how she looked in her mug shot with the blue hair, and she was a little bigger. She made me sick to my stomach looking at her. But now I listen to her talk here, I'm wondering if maybe she does have some mental issues. She just did it to keep a place to stay, which I'm not trying to make excuses, but I know people do stupid shit for stupid reasons. To have a place to sleep, to have somebody take care of them. But still, at some point, you have to say, this is wrong. What I'm doing is wrong. What he's doing is wrong. This is wrong. Yeah, trauma. But see, we don't really know how she was raised with her parents. Her parents died when she was between 16 and 18, so how did they treat her? See, they leave all that out in court. They don't even tell us how she was treated. Maybe in her trial they told it, but they're not telling us here.
Okay, so what happened when she got out of the shower?
She ate breakfast and we were talking, and after she ate breakfast, he walked her over towards the back door and was showing her a baseball bat. And then he started hitting her over the head. And
are you hearing this? She cooked food for these people, Jennifer, allegedly. Walk over to the door, the back door, because that back door's got to be right there in the kitchen. The way the apartments lived, the apartments are made. Because the kitchen is off. You go through the kitchen to go to the back door. The way the apartments are made. So she's cooking, eat food, and he says, "Here, we'll walk you over here to the door." And you walk over to the door and start hitting her with a baseball bat. Are you hearing this? Man, this is cruel, man. Come on.
I went into shock and he yelled at me to go upstairs because his mother was coming down for medication.
So the mother could walk.
So when this started, where were you when he's talking to her about the baseball bat?
I was in front of the fireplace in the middle of the living room.
Okay. And so you said they're closest to the back door.
Yes.
And Miss Finnegan is getting her medicine.
Yes.
Where was she?
She was upstairs, but she was in the process of coming down.
Okay. So at that point, he instructs you to intercept.
Yes.
So what do you do then?
I went upstairs and I told her to stay in the room because I didn't want her to see what was going on.
Somebody said this is deep in the chat. You're right, this is deep.
Did she do that? Do what you asked her to do at that point?
She fussed at me and went back to bed.
And what did you do?
By the time I got downstairs, they were fighting. Jennifer had the fire grate over her to protect her, and there was blood on the floor.
When you say the fire grate, you said you were saying about the fireplace earlier. There's the thing in front of the fire place, or like the thing that logs would be in?
The thing that is in front of the fire.
Like the screen.
Yes.
Somebody said she should have ran
So you
out.
said she's got that
Something.
defending herself with it. Is she hitting him with it, or is she holding it over her?
She was just defending herself with it, holding it to her body.
So she's taking the screen, the fireplace screen,
Is that
trying to keep him
effective
from
defense?
hitting her.
No.
Oh, Lord.
So what happened is when you arrived and you see that going on, what's going on next?
I was in shock and I approached slowly, and he told me to go into the kitchen and get the cleaning supplies.
So then he told her
What did you do when you got the
get
cleaning
cleaning
supplies?
supplies.
He told me to clean up the blood, and he was disgrading her. He ripped her pants down and was screaming at her and said, he said, "Why don't you shave?" And she started crying, and he just spat on her and was really aggressive towards her.
So she
This is crazy to me. She takes a shower, gets something to eat, cook the food, and then he tells her, "I got to show you something at the door." Starts beating her with a bat. Mom's coming down the stairs, probably because she heard the noise down there in the kitchen. Those apartments are not that big. She heard something. That's why she's trying to come down there. I don't believe she's just coming for her medicine. She intervenes to get the mother to go back up the stairs. She's fussing with her. She comes back down. There's blood on the floor. And he's telling her, "Why don't you shave your legs?" Oh, Lord, I can't believe this. Oh, Jesus. Oh. As the defense attorney said, this is a sensational case. Yeah, it's sensational because nobody can understand this crazy nonsense was going on. That there are people walking around doing this to each other. I mean, it's just one thing to have somebody abusive to you, verbally abusive, gaslighting you, putting their hands on you. But when you start talking about all this other kinky sexual stuff and putting dog collars around necks and making you walk on the floor like a dog, bark like a dog, peeing and defecating on you, we're in a whole nother damn ball game. Hell no, I don't know nothing about it. I'm gone.
she's there on the ground, it sounds like at this point.
Yes.
He's ripping that off. And you have cleaning supplies.
Yes.
What's going on at that point?
Oh, Lord. Look at him blowing
I was in shock.
like a damn whale.
he told me to clean up the blood around her, and I did so. And at one point, he told me to get on one side, and he got on the other, and both of us went up the stairs with her and walked her to his bedroom.
So are you each propping her up
But
at this point? Or are you just like walking her and escorting her?
escorting her.
Okay. So she's conscious at this
Yes.
point still. So you walk up the stairs. What happens when you get up there?
He walks the door and lays her on the floor on my side of the bed, and he makes her perform oral sex on her.
What?
Like, and I'm forced to watch.
So he's performing oral sex on a woman he
Okay,
just
could you
beat in the
repeat
head.
that? I think the court reporter was having a hard time hearing you.
He forced her to perform oral sex on him,
Oh, on him. Okay.
and
All
I
right.
was forced to watch.
And made her watch. So he made the
And
victim
so forgive me for being
perform sex
very-
on him.
overt with this. You say he forced her to perform oral sex. Could you tell us where his penis is?
He put his penis in her mouth and
Okay.
ripped her clothes.
And she's in the floor next to the bed.
Yes.
Where are you?
I was crouched beside him
And how long did that continue?
She's crouched beside him. Doing what?
until he got angry and pulled my shirt down and made me finish.
And what do you mean by
Oh, Lord.
he made you finish?
He wasn't satisfied with her, and he made me perform oral on him.
So is that in the same way that you just described that he had Miss Paxton
Yes.
perform oral on him? And so he pulled your shirt down and had you do that,
Yes.
and you said he finished.
Yes.
Oh, man.
And what happened at the conclusion?
Oh, wow, wow, wow.
He went downstairs to clean up the blood and told me to watch her to make sure she didn't leave the room.
Did he make any other statements
No.
about that point forward? None. Okay. So he went down to clean up the blood better,
Yes.
and then comes upstairs. You're in the room with her. What's going on while he's downstairs?
I'm thinking that he was cleaning up the blood.
Are you on the bed? Are you next to the bed?
I was standing next to the bed.
So about how long was he down there, if you recall?
No more than 5 minutes.
And what happens when he comes back up?
He
Please.
grabs her and chains her to the side of his bed and tells me he has to leave for work and kisses me goodbye and leaves me there with her and tells me not to leave the house, to keep her there if anything happens, to take care of it. Like, keep her from yelling to hurt her.
Had she yelled out?
No.
Oh, wow.
Did she have any sort of vocal reaction in that
This,
first impact with the bat, or when she has the fire screen?
Yes, she was screaming.
Okay. So he leaves for work. She's chained to the bed.
so the mother, if the mother can walk down the stairs to get her medicine, because this is all I've been wanting to hear, is the state of the mind of the mother. If the mother can walk down the stairs to get her medicine, then that means what I just said. She was coming down because she heard the mess going on downstairs. She just said it. The district attorney just asked her, what was she doing when she had to scream and was fighting him? Oh, she was screaming. Well, that's why the mother was coming downstairs. She wanted to know what the hell was going on. And you want me to believe she wasn't yelling? Hey, what's going on down there? What the hell y'all doing down there? Of course, that's her house too. She stay there. Why would she not say something? Hey, what y'all doing down there? What the hell's going on down there? I hear somebody else talking. That's why the mother was coming down. She wasn't coming down there just to take her medicine. Queen didn't live long enough to know better. This is BS. That mother heard that girl getting beat down there. You know damn well, if you go look at the apartments, they're not that big. She heard her, and she just said it to the DA. She was screaming. So the mother heard. Oh my goodness. Oh. Mary says, oh, her being crouched beside her just threw me back into thinking she did find some sick pleasure in this. I don't know what to think. Mary, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was sitting there thinking. Well, why are you crouched down beside him? If you're repulsed or you're scared, you wouldn't be crouched down beside him. You'd be over in the corner somewhere like, this ain't right, or I got to get the hell out of here. You didn't tell me you was bringing this woman. Now you're going to beat her up and you brought her up here. So he's sitting here, what I just said, got a woman laying here he didn't beat with a bat. She bleeding. And you're sitting up here, got her performing oral sex. How could she even perform oral sex? She just got hit in the head with a bat. This is crazy. This is crazy. And then she probably done conked out because she bleeding. So he make her finish. Because remember, she said, oh, he got mad. That's because that girl was probably bleeding. Couldn't finish doing that. Because she's bleeding. So he's looking at her like, come on, finish. Finish where she left off. What the fuck? And she sat here and said, if we're going to believe her, I was putting up the bed. Something she was saying, which I don't understand what that means, putting up the bed. And he brings her in, and she said, I was kind of confused, like, well, who is she? So that leads me to believe he picked up Jennifer over here in Knoxville, did not tell her. He was probably at work, scouring the streets over there, where she's probably walking and hanging with the homeless people. And then there's a hotel back there, Super 8, by the car wash. That's nothing but a whole house back there. He probably been over there looking, found her. He ain't told her he bringing Jennifer home or a person home. And she's stuck there looking like, well, okay, who is this? That's when she should have ran the fuck out of there. When she saw him bring this woman home, and we probably would never know that Jennifer is in the freezer. She probably still be in that freezer right now if this one hadn't went and told it. Let's keep it real. It took her a while, but she told it. If this girl had ran out when he brought Jennifer back to that house, we probably would never know where Jennifer is. She broke down finally and told because she was tired of the way he was treating her. That's why I believe what she's saying. He did the same to her, just like what he did to Jennifer. Now, how much she participated, everybody entitled to think what they want. But he did it to both. And she stayed too long. When she finally left, she told the girl that day, the neighbor, while they're riding to another county to take her to a shelter. Oh, let me tell you what we did to this lady. She's in the freezer. You didn't think you weren't going to go to jail for telling that? I would have lied. You know what I was saying? Oh, yeah. I was staying with him, and I went and looked in the freezer one day and saw this woman in there, and then I ran out of there, and now I'm talking to the police. That's what a person with some sense would do. They would lie and say, I found that lady in the freezer. You ain't going to tell somebody, oh, yeah, by the way, I was helping do stuff to her. Maybe she is mentally ill. I don't know. Because listening to her, she ain't got her face is sullen like his. It's like two zombies in the courtroom. She testifying and he's sitting up like this. Did you hear me? I need a drink. This is driving me crazy listening to this. Because I wasn't expecting her to be like this. When I looked at the blue hair and all that green hair shit she had in her mugshot, I just saw this cold person. Oh, she must be this monster. Hell yeah, I didn't like her. But now she looks like she's, oh, Lord. Something wrong with her, too. Now, if you want to get down with threesomes or whatever, that's your business. But if it's true that they did threesomes, that they tortured those women. So see, somebody need to come tell us that. Oh yeah, I've been with them alone and they tortured me, they tied me up, but they let me go. See what I'm saying? So we'll know if they've been doing this before together. She's only been with him a few months. She said she moved in the fall of 2019. They killed Jennifer in December of 2019. I can't stand this. This is too much for me.
Where are the keys to the chain?
He took them to work with him.
And so he's at work all day and you're there.
Yes.
And she's still where?
Chained to the side of the bed.
Mary, she probably was questioned.
Did you have any conversations with her in this period of time?
Yes, as I was feeding her and giving her drinks and letting her smoke, we talked a little bit.
Feeding her drinks and smokes, but
Did you try to let her go?
somebody else said she wouldn't get nothing.
At one point,
Tell us about that.
I took a knife, like a kitchen knife, and tried to pop the locks, and I cut the zip ties off, and it led to Sean getting angry with me.
Okay, so he's at work and you do this.
Yes.
When he comes home from work, where is everybody? Describe that scene for us.
Frances stayed in her room while all of this was going on.
See, Francis heard everything. Fuck
So
that.
he comes back. Are you in the living room or are you in the bedroom with her when he gets home from work?
I believe I was in the bedroom at the time.
Okay. So he walks in and he sees this scene.
Yeah.
Tell us about that reaction.
He was angry. He was like, why the fuck did you cut her zip ties? She could have grabbed anything and stabbed you or hurt you. She could have got free.
Are you hearing this? She could have
Was
got
that all
free.
that happened?
She
So
needs to
yelled
be
at you
free.
about it?
Yes.
And what did he do about her being chained there?
He's crazy. He chains her up and then tells her, oh, she could have got out and killed you.
Told me not to do it again. And he put the zip ties back on her.
Oh, Lord, this is crazy.
Was there any punishment for you at that point for undoing any of the fastenings or chains?
I believe he made me perform oral sex.
Were there anything else that he did sexually at any point to Miss Paxton?
He forced my adult toys inside of her and forced his fingers on her and forced me to watch. And also, at one point, she was on the floor and he was behind me and he forced me to climax over her.
How could she climax
So-
over her?
In the course of this, you are actively participating
I give up.
in sexual activity with Miss Paxton too. Is that correct?
I couldn't climax until he forced me to climax.
But that does mean
Yes.
that you are participating. And when you
Are you hearing this? Okay, I'm done now. The DA just asked, are you participating in sex with her while all this is going on? She really didn't want to answer. And she says, oh, I didn't climax. That's still sex, sweetheart, whether you climax or not. So then she said, he told me when to climax. Oh, Lord. Oh, the devil is a liar. Oh.
when you say he forced you to climax, what do you mean by that?
He physically, like, aggressively rubbed me until I climaxed.
Okay, so he is touching you while you're over her.
Yes.
If we have the picture of that.
A picture?
And what did he do
What
at
you
your
mean?
climax?
She was revolted by it, and she said I was gonna throw up, and he slapped her across the face, and I just shut down and left.
When you say you left, where did you go?
I went downstairs.
Okay.
So she's over her what? Trying to
And
put
when you
her
say that he used adult toys and forced them inside her,
private
again,
parts
we do have to be
over her
specific
mouth?
here. We can't assume what you mean by that. Where did he force those toys?
He used a vibrator on her vaginally.
Okay. Anywhere else?
Not that I remember.
Okay, so here, not to be descriptive, what I could understand is when she said I stood over her and I to climax, and I thought, how are you going to stand over somebody to climax? This don't make no sense. So what? He's putting toys on Jennifer's private parts. She's standing over her, over what? Her mouth? So what was she trying to do? Put her vagina over her mouth? Because she said she got revolted. So they must have turned her off and hurt her feelings. So she left out of the room or something. This is ridiculous. See, this is where at some point this girl should have said to herself, this is going too far. What I'm doing is, I don't want to do. That's what you have to tell yourself in life about anything. I don't want to participate any longer. Dr. Phil always say, it don't matter if it's 5 days in, 10 days in. The day you walk off, that's your crowning glory moment. You left the scene. You left the building. When she first saw that woman walk up in there and she realized he was bringing her to play whatever, funny games, sex, whatever, she should have got her shit and got the fuck out of there.
So you go downstairs. Does he follow you? What happens after that?
I just cooled off for a minute, and then I came back upstairs.
See, she said she cooled off. She was mad.
And when you come back upstairs, where's Sean Finnegan and Jennifer Paxton?
We went to sleep.
He went to sleep. Ain't this a bitch?
And when we're talking about you going to sleep, where is she?
On the floor.
So they got her sleeping on the floor like a
Chained to the
dog.
bed.
Yes.
Chained to the
Where
bed.
are you?
On the left side of Sean.
Okay. And he is in the bed?
Yes.
That's basically what I'm asking. Are the two of you are in the bed and she is in the floor, if I'm
Yes.
understanding what you said correctly.
Oh, Lord.
Did you ever have a key to those padlocks?
No.
So during the day, since you don't have a key, what do you do about Ms. Paxton
look at the
if
comments.
she has to relieve herself and
He
go to the
probably
bathroom?
loves reliving this. How in the hell
There
can
was,
she sleep?
like a cigarette pill outside that I used for her to use the bathroom in. And she had to wear adult briefs.
Okay. So when you talk about a cigarette pill, could you sort of tell us how
Adult briefs. So they
big or small
bought
that
diapers
was?
for her?
Big enough to hold like maybe a gallon.
Well, if you could, was this like a big bucket, or was this flower pot size? If you could compare it to something.
Yeah, like a flower pot.
Look what somebody says. I see the tissues are useless so far. Yeah, she ain't cried. She ain't cried one time. She's empty.
Did Ms. Paxton ask to leave?
Yes.
What could you do about that?
I told her that I wish I could let her leave, but I didn't have any way of letting her go, and it really upset me.
It really
Did
upset
she
her.
ever tell Mr. Finnegan she needed to leave or wanted to leave?
Yes.
What was his reaction?
He told her that as he was killing her, that she wasn't going anywhere, that she was going to die.
Wow.
So when you say he said told her, you're going to die,
Yes.
what did she do?
She started crying.
And what did he do?
he just kicked her and spat on her and was really aggressive.
Did he anytime follow through on telling her she had to die?
He did this as he was strangling her.
Okay. So if you could tell us about that specifically. She's been in the house, he has gone to work, he's come back from work. What happened in, let's say, the last portion of her life? Could you walk us through what was going on?
Hold on, A-Ryan.
Yes. One day he came home from work and he had bags that had shower curtains, washcloths, bleach, gloves, and things of that nature. And I thought it was for, the house, but he was carrying it upstairs, and once he carried it upstairs, I knew that he was going to kill her. He had me go with him and shower her in the shower, and as he was strangling her, I was cleaning up the blood that was left over in the shower. And at one point, he screamed at me to get in the bedroom, that I was taking too long. And I came in and he told me to lock the door. And as I walked in, he was straddled over her, strangling her with a shoestring, and told me to help him. And I just shut down and sat on the bed and just gave up, essentially.
How long did this go on?
For hours.
Could you describe for us specifically what was going on in the course of, you say this was hours?
He would start and stop, like take breaks in between, and
So you just tortured
allow me
her.
to leave the room to empty the ashtray or anything, and I just sat on the bed.
Hold on.
So is he smoking?
Hold on. Let me jump. There's some stuff about her that I wanted to play.
On the left side of
Hold
Sean,
on.
over her to protect her, and there was blood on the floor.
There was something where he was in a dog collar. I was wanting people to hear that part.
I ended up staying with my best friend, Tabitha Sparks, and she ended up kicking. Not really. I just knew that he worked at the bar.
Okay. Did you know what bar it was he worked at? For tossing away, is that what you said? Okay. And so before she's put in the freezer, could you walk us through again the process before putting her in the freezer the first time?
When we put her in the freezer, Sean was in front of her and I was behind her. And he forced her body to go inside of the freezer, and she made a noise, like snapping noise, and blood went on me, and it freaked me out.
So he broke
So
her
was she
bones.
completely naked at that point? Did she have anything around her or anything else done to the body?
She had a shower curtain and garbage bags.
Okay.
She's still bleeding if she's
So
dead?
she's in that same sort of wrapped up
So
state.
she's still bleeding?
You move the freezer up to the bedroom.
Because usually blood stops flowing when you're dead.
Did you notice anything
I
else
guess.
about him doing anything to the closet door?
I'm dead.
He changed the locks.
Did the closet previously have a doorknob that locked?
No.
And so he changed it to a different
Yes.
doorknob? Okay. So Miss Paxton is in the freezer that is in the bedroom. Did you ever notice anything else that drew your attention to this situation? Did you ever walk in and see Sean? Did you ever see Sean in the bedroom?
She's lost.
Yes.
This
Did
girl
you
is
ever
lost.
see
Gone.
Sean in the bedroom doing something that made you think that's unusual?
She's just as lost as he is. Oh.
Tell us about that.
There was 1 or 2 times that I caught him masturbating to Jennifer.
Could you describe that scene for us?
The first time I was taking a shower and I came in to put my dirty clothes in the hamper and he was masturbating and he held out his hand and I was confused as to what it was until I looked over and he had cut off her nose and intimate areas.
And what did you do when you walked in and saw that?
It freaked me out. I ran downstairs and was almost outside of the door, but he yelled at me to get back inside.
You have got to be kidding me. She's dead. He's masturbating to a dead person and then cuts off her nose, an intimate part. I do remember them saying it was a breast. And then he holds his hand out to her like, what? Here, let me show you something. What do I want to see her nose and breast in your hand? She's dead. And you're masturbating to a dead person. And then cutting off their body parts, what, after that? I can't.
So when you walk in and see it, could you go into more detail? Where is he in relation to the freezer?
He was standing in front of it.
He's standing in front of it.
Yes,
And so is the freezer open or closed?
open.
Could you describe, could you see inside from where you were? Could you describe what you observed from that point?
He had the garbage bag ripped open from her head to her cleavage.
So you ran downstairs at that point, you said,
Yes,
and he yelled at you.
yes.
What happened after that?
After I went upstairs, he closed the door and made me perform oral sex on him because it aroused him.
He likes oral sex, don't he?
Because it aroused him.
Because it aroused him, is that what you said? Sorry. Do need you to speak up, sorry.
Nasty ass. He's just messing with a dead corpse. Now he want her to go down on him. What the fuck? This is crazy.
In the course of your relationship with him and while this has happened and you're living in this situation,
You don't need to run into Francis' room for what?
did
Run
anything
out.
change?
She was near the front door.
It just kept getting worse.
She said it kept getting
When you
worse.
say it kept getting worse, what do you mean?
The power control, punishments, consequences, all of that.
Did you try to tell anyone about this?
Yes,
Who did you tell?
I told Mahogany, Pia, and I told my cousin Paula and one of my exes at the time, but
3 people she's told.
When you told one
Wow.
of your exes at the time, how did you go about doing that? You've already said you didn't have a phone, so what did you do?
I went to a neighbor's house and borrowed her phone to text him.
Oh, this is bullshit.
Okay.
And I said, I need help.
3 other people knew the secret besides
And
him
did you
and
ever
his
hear
mother.
back from that?
No,
The mother knew. Her old ass need to be in there too.
So, how many times do you tell Mahogany about these kinds of things?
at least 2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times, and she still living in the house, and you didn't never go to the police?
Could you tell us about
This is bullshit.
what led up
I'm
to
dead.
your eventually telling people what had
I
happened?
thought she only told her one time, the day she left with her.
She was noticing the bruises on my eyes, and she knew that something wasn't right. Because she kept asking me,
Now he's
Rebecca,
taking
what's
notes.
wrong? What is he really doing to you?
Okay. So at that point, did you decide to do something?
Not at first, but later on.
So walk us through that.
One day she came over and showed me that he had been to prison for...
Stop. Walk us through your decision with Mahogany that you eventually decided to seek shelter.
Oh, Lord. Well, they're taking a brief meeting, I guess, about her bringing information about his old criminal record. So she's told this Mahogany person more than one time about what they did to Jennifer, but yet I thought she only told her once from the way the prosecution told it in the beginning and opened a statement. Oh, she told her on her way to the shelter, and the girl was like, "Oh, we got to call my husband and tell what happened."
10 minutes, I'm way back.
But allegedly, she said, "I've told her before." Somebody says I cannot be his attorney. Well, the attorney, he don't give a fuck either. He's crazy. I know he has to have a job to do, but them lies he spun in court yesterday morning were ridiculous. You got to prove what he did and didn't do. Yeah, okay. So you'll try to put it all off on her. She don't even have a car, so how would she get her there to the house? The victim didn't have a car. She didn't have a car. She didn't even have a phone. So how would she have gotten the victim there? Come on now. Just stop it. I'm going to stop there because this is then got outrageous. You all can gladly finish it for yourselves. During this testimony yesterday, she told the court also he put something around her neck, made her walk like a dog, urinated on her. Yes, that's what was said in court yesterday, besides this other instance here that you're listening to, him having sex with a corpse, torturing the corpse afterwards. Opening statement, the lady had bruises, cuts on her, cuts in between her legs, her thighs. Well, she did. He cut her. Rebecca, guess they want nobody to see him cut her. The visible cut in between her thighs, torturing her, punishment as she calls it. So he's a cutter. I think they tried to say she's a cutter. This is, there are no words for what I have just listened to. I'm dead serious. Nothing. 1 second, everybody. A few years ago, I went to the scene of the crime, and I will now show you that content. Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This is 318 Fairview Road. The apartment here, it will be on the end. That is a young lady that was living there, a white female that I spoke to. And she basically didn't do anything either when she heard all the banging and the noise. And then the people who live on this drive here, they heard a scream. One of the people living in this house here heard a scream around Christmas time coming from that apartment, which is definitely, that's their door there. And they didn't get up to look around. So I don't know the actual date that she was murdered, but this is the crime scene. 318 Fairview Road, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Sits outside of Knoxville, about 20 minutes west of Knoxville, Tennessee. Government town. The house of the first atomic bomb. For those who don't know much about Oak Ridge, it is a government town. People go there to work from all over the world, United States. Boeing was there, K-25, X-10. The Oak Ridge National Lab is housed in this small town. This is where DNA was processed in the Casey Anthony case, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, if you did not know. They do a lot of work for the lab, Oak Ridge National Lab, if you didn't know. So a lot of crime scenes that you watch and hear on TV, the DNA evidence is processed in this same town. Welcome to the Vault Excel. This is Everyday Shenanigans. I'm at the scene of a gruesome crime that took place over a year ago. And if you need verification for the information, WVLT is the source. Disturbing details revealed in murder trial of a couple accused of killing, dismembering Oak Ridge woman. A couple accused of first-degree murder in the death of an Oak Ridge woman found dismembered in a home in August 2020 appeared in court for preliminary hearing Friday. And this content was uploaded March 5th, 2021. According to Oak Ridge Police, 52-year-old Sean Finnegan and his girlfriend, 22-year-old Rebecca Dishman, have been identified as suspects. The two suspects met over social media in 2019, according to officials. Oak Ridge Police Department Sergeant Marvell Moore was the first witness called to the stand. Moore recalled being called on August 5th, 2020 to investigate an incident in which a female was murdered. Moore said during the interview, Dishman admitted that Finnegan brought 36-year-old Jennifer Paxton to their home. According to Moore, Finnegan brought Paxton to his home and told Dishman that Paxton would be staying with them for a while. Finnegan said Paxton was homeless and needed a place to live. Investigators said shortly after Finnegan told Dishman to go to the top of the stairs to make sure his mother, who also lived in the home, didn't come down the stairs. Dishman told Moore she then heard a loud scream from Paxton and ran back downstairs. Dishman said she witnessed Finnegan hitting Paxton over the head repeatedly with a baseball bat in the kitchen of the apartment. Dishman said she was instructed by Finnegan to clean up the blood. Finnegan then took Paxton up the stairs and took her into the bathroom where they cleaned her up. The couple allegedly took Paxton to the bedroom where she was chained to the bed by Finnegan. Dishman said Finnegan raped Paxton repeatedly. Dishman also revealed that she participated in the sexual assault. Paxton was allegedly kept in the home for a period of 3 to 4 days, according to Moore. She was given food but restricted from leaving the room. Paxton was forced to use the bathroom in a bucket, investigators said. During the 3 to 4 day period, Paxton's health began to deteriorate. Dishman told investigators Finnegan said if her condition continued to worsen, they would have to make a decision about killing Paxton. On the day of the murder, Sergeant Moore said Dishman admitted she and Finnegan unchained Paxton and took her to the bathroom where she was given a shower. Paxton was then taken back to the bedroom where she was instructed to lay face down before Finnegan took a shoestring and strangled Paxton to death. Dishman said blood was coming from Paxton's mouth and Finnegan forced her to watch the incident. Paxton was then wrapped in plastic garbage bags and placed in a stand-up freezer, according to Dishman. Investigators said that because Paxton was so tall, her neck and other bones were broken to fit her in the freezer. Dishman also said Paxton's nose and nipple were cut from her body by Finnegan. The Knoxville Police Department was able to identify Paxton as the victim after Dishman gave investigators a description, which police ran through the Knoxville missing persons reports. Dishman alerted authorities to the incident and told them Paxton's body could be found in the freezer of the home on the 300 block of East Fairview Road. Officials said that when they arrived at the home to execute a search warrant, the body was not in the freezer. Finnegan told investigators he didn't know why someone would make up a lie about there being a body in his home. Moore said the home was extremely tidy and neat, but a blanket protruding from under the bed caught his attention. Moore said he pulled the blanket from under the bed and discovered a wet trash bag and Paxton's dismembered body completely nude. In a closet downstairs, Moore located chains, padlocks, and duct tape. During an interview with investigators, Finnegan admitted to knowing the body was in his home. According to Sergeant Moore, Finnegan said he met Paxton when he paid her $20 for a sexual favor. Finnegan said he had paid Paxton $100 to come to his home and participate in sexual relations with him and his girlfriend. Finnegan said after the three engaged in sexual activity, he went to take a shower, and when he returned, he found Dishman downstairs with Paxton, who was bleeding. Finnegan said the two then Paxton upstairs and chained her to the bed. Finnegan said he panicked and put Paxton's body in the freezer sometime after Christmas. Police discovered the body in August of 2020. Officials said Finnegan and Dishman admitted to being responsible for the crimes. According to Anderson County Sheriff's Office, Dishman and Finnegan are both facing first-degree murder. Let me stop right there. So, one of the people that I talked to pertaining to the death of Miss Paxton is in this drive here. They said they remember hearing a scream around Christmas time. And now you hear Mr. Finnegan says they put her in the freezer after Christmas. So perhaps the information that I got from the neighbor is accurate, that they did hear her scream around Christmas time, because he's told investigators he believes that he and Rebecca put the body in plastic bags after Christmas. So they took her to this home in December, paid her money. But I guess you took the money back after killing her, huh? Because she couldn't take it anywhere to spend it. It's ridiculous. Murder, aggravated rape, aggravated kidnapping, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. WVLT is the source. I'm going to go back up and read the said information. Sorry if I'm a little bit off. To how this crime came about. So obviously, Miss Dishman, the 22-year-old, gave up this information about the body being in the house. I'm going to go back down. It says right here, the Knoxville Police Department was able to identify Paxton as the victim after Dishman gave investigators a description which police ran through the Knoxville Missing Persons reports. Dishman alerted authorities to the incident and told them Paxton's body could be found in the freezer of the home on the 300 block of East Fairview Road. And when they arrived at the home to execute a search warrant, the body was not in the freezer. Finnegan told investigators he didn't know why somebody would make up this story. That is the said address. I'm going to give you an aerial view of this said place. Very quiet street here in the Secret City, Tennessee. For those of you who are not familiar with this area, it's a government town, small town. A lot of people come here from all over the world to work. The Oak Ridge National Lab is here. The Y-12 security plant is here. This is the town where the first bomb was built, for those who are not familiar with Oak Ridge, Tennessee. You will hear some dogs barking. I'm going to try to be very brief in my commentary because you don't know what can jump off while you're walking around. 318 is the location of the said grisly crime where they kept this lady for days until her death and then stored her in an upright freezer. That's the said information. This is a duplex that houses 4 apartments, one on each end, which houses a 1-bedroom, and then 2-bedroom apartments on the inside. Houses 4 apartments. That's the lady's house I talked to. They'll be right there. 1-bedroom, and then 2-bedroom apartments on the inside. I'm trying to figure out where's the other apartment, because she talked to the mahogany girl, because those are houses on this side of the street. That's the said information. I'm not going to have anybody on camera while I'm filming. Okay. It's a very quiet street. Not a lot happening, going on. Very quiet. Those are the numbers on the building. 318 is where the alleged crime took place, where the lady was found in a freezer first stored in the freezer, then found under the bed when they came with the search warrant. This is the back of the said property. As you can see, there are 1-bedroom units on each end of the building. This is a private drive that can go to the back of the house. I do see a door open of that said location where the crime took place. We're not going to get too close. We don't want any problems. But this is what the property looks like. That's their door right there. this door right here, where the blue trash can sits, that would be 318. Is it? And then the next door would be the next apartment that's open. And then 320 will be the end apartment, which houses a one-bedroom as well. So the two adjoining doors, the two doors in the middle, houses two bedrooms, allegedly. Right where you see the grill is where the crime took place. Hold on, let me go back. This is a duplex that houses 4 apartments. Letting somebody pass by with their dog. Let's okay. It's very quiet. Those are the numbers on the building. 318 is where the alleged crime took place, where the lady was found in a freezer first stored in a freezer, then found under the bed when they came with the search warrant. This is the back of the said property. As you can see, there are one-bedroom units on each
that was
end
her first
of the
door.
building.
Yeah, the second door.
This is a private drive that can go to the back of the house. I do see a door open up.
So that door is the first person's apartment on the end.
Where the crime took place. We're not going to get too close. We don't want any problems. But this is what the property looks like.
So right there is their door. Right
this
there.
Door right here, where the blue
Where's the
trash
grill?
can sits, that would be 318. And then the next door would be the next apartment that's open. And then 320 would be the end apartment, which houses a one-bedroom as well. So the two adjoining
4
doors,
apartments.
2 doors in the middle, houses 2 bedrooms, allegedly. Right where you see the grill is where the crime took place. Quiet street this is. Sad. Very sad. As you see, a very quiet area. Very quiet. This is where the crime took place. So now the information is that she met him online in 19. A sexual act ensued for her to get to this place. She was homeless, needed a place to live. Allegedly, he paid her $20 and then paid her another $100 to come engage in sexual activity with his girlfriend. Who knows what happened in that said apartment? Who knows what was said and not said? Because you always have to remember about a story. You can't believe things that come from people who are violent, narcissists, liars, sociopaths, psychopaths. They'll tell you anything. They'll tell the public anything. They'll tell the detectives anything. We don't really know what happened. But that second door is their back door, 318. Then I'm going to walk. I'll put the camera down so as not to show people, tags and things. Try to be respectful. But this is a quiet street. It runs in a circle. Quiet street in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. This is the said location of the crime, where this lady came to live with these people, a 52-year-old man and a 22-year-old, and something jumped off to where allegedly she was beat to death in a kitchen. We'll never know what really happened with her, but it's sad. Allegedly, she had 6 or 7 kids. I don't know where they were at the time that she came to live here with this man, but the sick part is that this happened around the holidays, December. I believe that would have been 19. So someone said they did hear a scream, but they didn't get up to see where it was coming from. Perhaps it was her in there, beating, banging, trying to get help. Was the girl jealous of her, him bringing this other woman in the house to stay? Were there words ensued? Or did he go pick her up because he wanted a victim? He wanted to have some playtime with a human being. What is the truth? 318 is the location of this said information. You see her dogs barking. That's the said house, the House of Horrors, in a small town, East Tennessee, where they brought a woman in and brutally murdered her and kept her captive from December 19 up until the day Dishman called the authorities to tell him she was inside, indeed, stored in that upright freezer. So what we have to ask ourselves is, why would she wait that long to report the woman missing? Is it because she left his house that summer and decided, I have a change of heart, I'll go ahead and tell everybody there's a dead woman in there? Then we have to ask ourselves also, did they have a car? Why did they keep her in there dead from December 19 up until August of 2020? What is the truth about this woman? And why did they leave her in this said location for this period of time? It's very strange. Very strange. to have somebody in this house this long, in a freezer, upright. See, they said her neck got broke because she was too tall to fit in the freezer. Ripped off her nipple. Cruel. And allegedly, Miss Dishman, 22, engaged in sexual activity with the woman, allegedly raped her as well, and the dismemberment, torture of the lady's body, and possibly she helped with the dismemberment of the woman. And the woman was found under the bed in the trash bag, dismembered. Can you imagine walking into that scene, going up those stairs, going in that room, pulling the cover out, and spotting somebody in a plastic bag, cut up? It can't get any worse than that. It definitely can't get any worse than that. This is the quiet street. As you see, a very quiet area. Not trying to show too much, as to not, show people's private business. But this is a sad situation of a 52-year-old man hooking up with a 22-year-old woman, both of them getting cahoots to lure this woman back to this house, this property, and then murder her, torture her, murder her, leave her in a freezer from December 19 to August 20, 2020, and Miss Dishman decides she wants to change her heart and admit and tell the police that there's a woman in there. Why did you wait so long? From December 19 to 2020. This makes no logical sense to do something like this. Absolutely horrendous to wait that long to say that there was a body inside of this house. And that leads us to think he didn't have a car, because why didn't he take her and dispose of her body? You have to ask those questions. Why did they do it? Why did they leave her in that long? Why did this girl have a change of heart from December to August 2020 and let it be known that the woman was in there? Well, they're both in jail, facing numerous charges. Numerous charges. And that's the sad information. I think I'm going to pull it up right here. First degree murder, aggravated rape, aggravated kidnapping, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. This is sad and sick. This is a dilapidated, rundown duplex that should be torn down. Nobody should even be living in the said apartment because a woman was brutally held captive in there, kidnapped, against her will, tortured, and brutally murdered. Body parts torn off of her and kept in an upright freezer. For what reason? What logical reason would you have to do this to a human being? And this is right here in East Tennessee, very small town, government town, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Brutality took place here. I did talk to the young lady that lived next door, 316, a year or so ago. And she basically said she did hear banging, but she didn't complain. She didn't call the landlord and she didn't call the police. So now imagine, while that girl was sitting in that apartment, hearing that banging going on around December of 19, that lady was fighting for her life, wishing somebody would have aided her, came to her rescue, saved her. But instead, the lady didn't pay attention. In the neighboring house, someone said they did hear screaming around Christmas time, but they didn't pay any attention, didn't get up. Imagine that somebody got up and just listened, and perhaps walked outside and heard her hollering or screaming. They could at least call 911, and perhaps this poor soul will be alive today. If you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. If you see something, say something. I understand people don't like getting involved, but now we have a woman who is no longer alive. There's also alleged kidnapping that took place in Blount County, Tennessee, pertaining to Mr. Finnegan, where a woman was able to escape his home only because she fled for her life, saying she had a small son that she had to get home to. And he lured her to his house under the same guise as what he did to this lady here. Unfortunately, this lady was able to escape with her life. But there are no records in the Blount County system that he kidnapped her and held her against her will. So what's going on with the judicial system? She filed a report in Knoxville, Tennessee. So Blount County, why don't you have a report of this alleged kidnapping of this lady? Because perhaps had you all done something about that situation, then this lady would still be alive. This is Everyday Shenanigans.
That's my old channel name.
Everyday Shenanigans, now the Vault XL. Feel free to follow me here on YouTube and on the Newsbreak app. I am uploading content over there, posts and videos. I want to thank you for your time. I did not intend to go this winded, but I wanted to play a little bit of each network articles to give you a synopsis of what happened in court yesterday in Clinton, Tennessee. Paxton died by the hands of these two people. And there was opening statements in court where the state wants you to look at the deceased as a human being, not being a prostitute, homeless person, drug addict, but a human being. She had 7 children. She lost her children to the state of Tennessee. Don't know why, but her aunt testified yesterday that she spiraled immediately downward after losing her children. And sadly, she was drifting in this city of Knoxville from one side of town to the other, Merchants Drive to Chapman Highway, and on, I guess, Merchants, wandering about is when she came in contact with Sean Finnegan, who worked at the Pint House. Doing what? I have no idea. And when you look at his mugshot, you can't even imagine what the hell he could have been doing at a restaurant. You don't know people. And she didn't know him. So just like she entered into his car and went to Oak Ridge to stay in this apartment, she didn't know that she was never going to leave out of that apartment. He stayed there with his mother, Rebecca Dishman. He had just brought her there that fall, and she didn't know him either. So here you have 2 people crossing paths with Mr. Finnegan, not knowing that he's a deviant, heavily sexual being, sadist, rapist. He had kidnapped a woman before in Blount County. It never went to the judicial process. And he did what most sadists do. I'm not going to leave behind a victim. I'm not going to leave behind anybody that's going to talk. And that's usually how rapists and sadists become murderers. The victim has spoken. There's a inquisition. They may get time, don't get time. And then they realize, well, the next time I decide to act out, I'm going to make sure not to leave a body. I'm not going to have a warm body around. And that is exactly what happened here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. He didn't want to leave behind a body. Some of you are questioning if he's done this before, as far as kidnapping, torture, rape, murder. May have, don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure his DNA is put in the CODIS database where it should be. So if there's a hit, then that means he's done it before. What has she done in her short life, Miss Dishman? I don't know. But she seemed to have had a troubled life, and that's what led her to being in his peripheral. They met on Facebook. Why she went and responded is a mystery to me. What did he say to her on Facebook for her to even respond? Because he didn't look like shit. Still don't look like shit. He's just a little fatter in court now. But he didn't look like nothing when she met him. A scraggly old man. So I don't know what she wanted with him, and I don't know what he wanted with her. Because how do you just look up somebody on Facebook and get in their DM, and then 2 weeks later, she's living with him? It's very bizarre. And she came all the way from a whole nother county, Maryville, which is in Blount County. So that's a long way to end up way over there to come over here outside Knoxville and Anderson County. It's a very bizarre story, how these paths cross. But isn't that life? 6 degrees of separation. People meet from all different jurisdictions, and somehow they get tangled up in the worst of scenarios, foolish mayhem, and even murder. And that's what happened here. He picked up a young girl on Facebook. He picked up a woman off the street in Knoxville, Tennessee, took her back to his house, just like he took Miss Dishman back there. They all intertwined in forced rape, torture, abuse, battery, dismemberment. Oh yeah, she was dismembered. Now you gotta ask yourself that. Because he never took her out of that house. So that means he cut her up in there. Stay woke. Thank you for your time. I'll be continuing this coverage. State of Tennessee versus Sean Finnegan. Ms. Dishman has already received her sentence last year. She has life without the possibility of parole, plus 50 years, 2 charges of sexual deviances against a child. We will see if this man will receive the death penalty, because he is facing the death penalty in the unaliving first degree of Jennifer Paxton. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeGanji129 Cash App. Thank you for your time. Please follow the Queen over on the Newsbreak app, where I also post content there. And you can also follow me on Google Maps, where I go different places and give my commentary on businesses, restaurants, so on and so forth. 1 million+ views over there. Google Maps. I am worldwide right now. Amen. Thank you. God is good. Prayers for this family. Prayers for this family. Her mother's no longer alive. I don't know what happened to her, but it's a shame she didn't live long enough to see justice being served for her child. I do not know where her children are. I don't know if they'll ever come out and speak pertaining to the unaliving of their mother, but it would be nice to hear from her children and get their, opinion about what's going on right now in the court. Maybe they were there. I don't know. Wasn't a lot of people in the court, but anywho, it'd be nice to hear from her children and find out how they're doing. Thank you all so much for your time. You have been listening to the Vault XL. Thank you.